Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reece. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, BITDEFENDER. BITDEFENDER is a global leader in cyber security. BITDEFENDER is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks. For 8 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with BITDEFENDER, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on BITDEFENDER, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, BITDEFENDER, for joining the channel. I've been Reece here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much. Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports here, of course, once again, for one of our daily news videos in a new race week waiting ahead of the US Grand Prix, and big news coming into today that has come out over the last weekend. Lewis Hamilton is being re-investigated for his incident at the Qatar Grand Prix, as the FIA are revisiting that incident where Lewis Hamilton crossed the track at the Qatar Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton was initially handed a €50,000 fine for crossing the track during the race under the safety car after crashing out at the first corner in a collision with his teammate George Russell. The FIA have confirmed that they are revisiting the incident when Lewis Hamilton crossed the track, with the Mercedes driver initially being handed that fine, half of which is suspended for the rest of the season for crossing the track while the race was under the safety car after crashing out at the first corner in a collision with his teammate George Russell. But the FIA have now announced that they are reviewing Lewis Hamilton's conduct. An FIA spokesperson said that the FIA is revisiting that incident in which Lewis Hamilton crossed the live track during the Qatar Grand Prix. The FIA notes that Lewis was apologetic during the subsequent stewards hearing into the incident and acknowledged that the crossing was a serious breach. However, in view of his role model status, the FIA is concerned about the impression that his actions may have created on younger drivers. Sky Sports News understands that the FIA do not want to single out Lewis Hamilton, but are concerned at the precedent potentially set, and will meet with the 38-year-old in Austin. Half of Hamilton's fine, which is €25,000, was payable, with the other half suspended on condition that there is no further breach of a similar nature over the rest of the season. Hamilton also received an official reprimand from the stewards, his first of the season as well. After crashing out on lap 1, the driver of car 44 abandoned his car in the gravel and ran back to the pits, said a statement from the stewards. He thereby crossed the track that was live at this time and reached the inside edge of the track just seconds before car 63 of George Russell arrived at the high-speed exit after exiting the pits. He then continued to walk alongside the track until finally exiting the track. During the hearing of car 44, the driver was very apologetic and realized that the situation could have been very dangerous for him, as well as the drivers approaching. The stewards reinforced the fact that crossing a live track can cause extremely dangerous situations, and the drivers have to be cautious about it. In addition to imposing a significant fine, which was suspended in parts, the stewards also reprimanded the driver, bearing in mind that receiving a certain penalty of reprimands during a season will draw a significant driving penalty in accordance with Article 18.2 of the FIA Formula 1 sporting regulations. This move from the FIA follows an incident at the Karting World Championship in Italy last weekend, where Britain's Joe Tony suffered leg injuries after pushing his kart back on track after being struck by a rival. In 1977, British Formula 1 driver Tom Price died during the South African Grand Prix at Kyalami after his car struck and killed an unsighted fire marshal who was crossing the track without permission. This is why the FIA are investigating these incidents from the drivers making their way onto the track. They want to set a precedent for the lower formulas, especially the karting juniors who see what the Formula 1 drivers are doing and really do try and replicate that. And unfortunately, they are going to try and set a bit of a precedent with Lewis Hamilton, of course, being in the top most sporting category of Formula 1. There's a lot of people that do look up to him. It's disappointing because I thought this was concluded, finished and done, but unfortunately it does look like they are going to be continuing to investigate Lewis Hamilton for that. Just asking you guys, at the moment we have a poll running. Who are you supporting for this weekend's US Grand Prix? 50% going to Max Verstappen at the moment, and 50% going to other. Do be sure to let me know who you are voting for down in the comment section if you are voting for that other option there. Looking towards this US Grand Prix though this weekend, Haas have planned a Red Bull style upgrade that will be its biggest upgrade of the season. Haas will switch to a Red Bull style car concept before the end of 2023, with what is set to be Formula One's biggest ever season upgrade. The Ferrari customer team has preserved with the car design that features the Ferrari customer team has persevered with a car design that features wide sidepod inlets and high-walled edges, and a sidepod surface that drops down in the middle to create a channel that turns to the rear of their car. It will finally abandon this, though, by moving to what has become much more conventional throughout the paddock, with it being a more Red Bull style, which on the Red Bull is twinned with a very small side of the sidepod and a dramatic undercut. Haas have realised 1 month or so before the summer break that its design concept had hit a performance ceiling, whereas others like McLaren had made significant changes and made big gains instantly. This has prompted Haas to abandon plans to bring regular upgrades to the initial VF23 concept and make a fundamental design change before the end of the year. Expected for this upcoming United States Grand Prix at Austin, in which the team boss Günther Steiner has said would be the biggest change Haas has ever made in a season. The concept of the car will change, go in that downwash direction, Steiner said in the Singapore Grand Prix. You're limited though with your chassis and a few other things as well, but we are trying to do that downwash concept as well, like everybody else has got. He added, we know the direction for next year. We weren't sure. Should we do it this year or not? And then next year we go full on that route. We had to say, let's do something this year, so at least we learn as much as possible for next year on that concept and maybe learn something for which we can integrate into next year's car as well. Asked by the race on how much instant progress Haas have expected from the upgrade and how much its introduction would be unlocking for more potential, Günther Steiner said that the team's biggest problem with this existing concept was that it couldn't find any performance anymore. We developed the whole year and there was nothing more that we could do, he said, and at some stage you need to decide whether we need to do something different here. We cannot keep on banging our head against the wall, crying, and obviously the other ones. You look at the other cars and just see that they keep on finding performance. McLaren seem to change the system. They seem to find something else, and at some stage you need to say, we need to change our concept too. We need to face reality. Driver Nico Hülkenberg has performed qualifying heroics in the 2023 Haas car this season, but almost invariably slumped in the races as underlying issues with following other cars and managing the rear tyres have rendered the VF23 uncompetitive on Sunday's race. He recently stated that Haas needs some magic to overhaul the Williams in the fight for 7th in the championship. And while he was wary of predicting this update can achieve that though, Hülkenberg has said an early Christmas present and that something significant had clearly become necessary. We've explored this car pretty much in every possible direction now, said Hülkenberg, and the performance isn't there enough, so it's time to change concept and philosophy. We're also the last team with that kind of philosophy still, and it's clearly gotten overtaken this year, as this year we went on by other teams with other concepts. I guess that says something. He added though, it started to look like a little bit more of a dead end a few months ago, because there wasn't enough coming out of it anymore. The changes coming for Austin though will be a precursor to a bigger redevelopment over the car over the winter season, when Haas can make bigger revisions to the car's architecture, including building a new chassis and revising the suspension. We've got out whatever we could with the downwash option for now, said Steiner of the interim concept. We cannot push it any further for this year. Haas takes all the key mechanical components from Formula One's regulations, allowing from Ferrari's inclusion in a suspension and gearbox, but must conduct all the aerodynamic work itself. Steiner has said though that Haas also make its own important architectural choices, like the radiator placement that required its Ferrari-esque side-put design. We cannot change them now, just haven't got the time to change the radiators and those other bits. Your chassis you can change. You can do everything, but it wouldn't work out, says Steiner. I don't think it's down to Ferrari. Yes, their electronic boxes are there as well, but I wouldn't blame Ferrari for that one. Some of the stuff we need to choose to them. Well, some of the stuff we need to go close to them, but like that side impact structure, we could have put it somewhere else if we wanted. But it would be very similar because the concept that we are running now asked for that side impact structure to be where it is. So that's why it is where it is. Very interesting to see that Haas are going to be changing their concept come this Austin Grand Prix. Whether their upgrades will be allowing them to get a little bit higher up in the standings, we'll have to wait and see. It's going to be very interesting to see if they are going to be able to make those instant changes like the McLarens were able to see early on in the season and have that instant success. And I think it would be quite exciting if we do get another car battling it out in the midfield. As we do move on to our next article, speaking about Max Verstappen, who blames Formula 1 for ruining the title celebrations. Orville Gillespie giving his predictions or his support for this weekend's US Grand Prix, saying that he is voting for Piastri because he is a biased Australian. No need to be biased at all. I'm also really excited to see what Oscar Piastri can do this next race weekend. Moving on to this article, speaking about Max Verstappen, who joked that the Formula 1 chiefs are to blame for his bizarrely timed title celebrations during the Qatar Grand Prix Sprint weekend. The world champion secured his third consecutive driver standing success last time out, with his dominance confirmed after a sensational record-breaking year. However, due to a quirk in the scheduling of the event, Verstappen confirmed his title on the Saturday after finishing second in the sprint race behind Oscar Piastri. As a result, the 26-year-old was effectively forced to split his party in two, with the race itself coming less than 24 hours after Verstappen clinched his glory. He went on to say, "I blame F1 for that, for introducing the sprint weekends," he quipped. "These kind of things aren't in your control. I always try to score as many points as possible, and that made it possible to win on the Saturday. It's okay." Verstappen is among, though, the small group that have sealed a hat-trick of titles in a row, joining names such as Michael Schumacher and Lewis Hamilton. "I never thought these kinds of things were possible," he admitted. "I remember watching Formula 1, and you want to be on that podium and try to win races, so to be here with 3 titles is quite crazy to think about. You never think these kinds of things are possible, so put your name in between those names, but I am incredibly proud." On the radio, on the in-lap, you talk a lot about performance and thank a lot of people for their performance and what they contribute to the car and the success of the team. But we don't really talk about just the enjoyment of working with people. Every weekend, you get to go out onto track, and there are so many brilliant minds, but also just nice people to work with, so it is a lot of fun as well. Glad to hear that Max Verstappen has enjoyed his run of title success for the past 3 years in Formula 1, as well as he's enjoying working with the people in Red Bull. And you have to think, as long as he enjoys working with the people in Red Bull and enjoys his time in Formula 1, he could still be here for a long time yet to come. As we've seen with Lewis Hamilton's success in Formula 1, he's been here for multiple years. He's chasing that elusive 8th title to break all of the records from Michael Schumacher. We'll have to wait and see whether he'll be able to challenge for that title next year with Mercedes, hoping that they can get their car a little bit more competitive next year. But for Max Verstappen, once again, really, really happy to take that 3rd consecutive championship. Moving on, though, to our next article, speaking about the 2 Formula 1 teams that are set to change their names for 2024. Both AlphaTauri and Aston Martin are set to undergo name changes ahead of the 2024 season, with one switch expected to be more dramatic than the other. In Formula 1, the ever-present influence of money and branding initiatives often leads to the shifts in the identities of racing teams, some more frequent than others. One such outfit, currently AlphaTauri, has undergone several name changes over the years. It was originally named as Minardi and then went on to be called, I have lost this. It originally started out as Minardi and competed in the World Championship for 2 decades under that name, before being acquired by Red Bull. It was subsequently rebranded as Toro Rosso, serving as Red Bull's sister team. and the platform for nurturing young drivers and talent from the Red Bull Driver Academy. Since 2020, the team has raced with the AlphaTauri brand, a clothing company under the Red Bull umbrella. However, this arrangement is set to conclude at the end of the current season. The team CEO, Peter Bayer, has confirmed that their forthcoming entry has been determined, but their specific name now remains undisclosed for the time being. Discussions are going very well. Unfortunately, I cannot disclose our new identity as of yet, he said. The shareholders have decided on the identity for the team. We will move a bit closer to the Red Bull family. It is an exciting period to see the birth of a Formula One team. It is a unique experience, and I'm very happy to live through that. A return to Toro Rosso was dismissed as an option. Instead, the team have been in discussions with prominent household name brands for a potentially lucrative agreement. While Hugo Boss has emerged as a strong contender, recent reports have also suggested that Adidas are the second runner-up as a potential title sponsor for now. So we could see the team being moved to either a Adidas name or a Hugo Boss name for their new title sponsor of the Red Bull sister team. However, AlphaTauri are not the only team undergoing a name change currently. The Aston Martin Aramco Cognizant Formula One team, a bit of a mouthful, is also undergoing a subtle alteration to its identity. Although the prominent car maker will continue the primary brand association with the team, IT firm Cognizant has inked a new deal with the team but will no longer serve as a title sponsor. Cognizant was our inaugural title sponsor, they said. They partnered with Aston Martin to enhance their reputation of their brand. The complete team name for the next season is set to be revealed in early 2024. And we do expect it to take on possibly a bit more of the Aramco title sponsorship for the next season. So it could be Aston Martin Aramco for next season rather than Aston Martin Cognizant Aramco Formula One team. But yes, lots of news coming out about teams changing names. Just checking our comment section now. Please do be sure to drop a comment there. Let us know where you're watching it from, as well as do be sure to let me know of any questions that you have for me here. I'll be very happy to answer those for all of you. As we move on to our next article here, as Sebastian Vettel has provided a return update as Hamilton has planned for his future. Just moving on to find this about Sebastian Vettel. Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reece. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, Bitdefender. Bitdefender is a global leader in cyber security. Bitdefender is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula One season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with Bitdefender, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on Bitdefender, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, Bitdefender, for joining the channel. I've been Reece here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much. If we can ever find this article. There we go. Sebastian Vettel issues a key update on his shock Formula One comeback rumour. Sebastian Vettel has played down rumours that he may return to Formula One, insisting he did not retire from the sport, simply to change his mind a year later. The four-time world champion brought an end to his illustrious career at the end of 2022, after leaving Aston Martin, but has failed to rule out a shock comeback. He has made several appearances in the paddock this year, with these outings sparking wild speculation that may look to secure a seat in the near future. Vettel, who is a 53-time Grand Prix winner, has been reluctant to definitively wave away speculation, but admitted that Formula One is no longer his priority. He went on to say, "You can never completely rule out something like that, but at a certain point, it's just over," Vettel said of a Formula One comeback. My age is not the problem though, and it was completely my choice to draw the line. But I didn't draw that line and then lift it. I didn't draw that line to lift it a year later. I consider myself lucky that I can now spend time with my family and with my children. That is my priority right now. In recent years, I've now been able to discover the bigger world. Formula One, no matter how big it is therefore becoming smaller in comparison. Since retiring, Vettel has competed in the Race of Champions, guested at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, and taken part in Red Bull demonstrations. Vettel raced for BMW Sauber, Toro Rosso Red Bull, and Ferrari before joining Aston Martin, where he spent 2 mixed years before stepping away from the sport of Formula One. It would certainly be great if we get Sebastian Vettel back in the sport of Formula One. Of course, we have a German team coming back into Formula One with the likes of Audi. Maybe they could be interested in getting him back in a Formula One seat. But unfortunately, you have to think whether a bit more of a eco-friendly team comes into the sport. I don't think Sebastian Vettel would be all that much more interested in getting involved, because his new priorities lie away from motorsport and unsustainable motorsport in general. He wants to do stuff that better the sustainability of the planet. That is his whole motto at the moment, of course, is bringing awareness to sustainability, and just saying that there is a possibility for sustainability in motorsports, as he does run those historic cars on sustainable e-fuels. So yeah, very interesting to see what Sebastian Vettel is doing. And yeah, Orville Clisby asking, what is my shortlist of the greatest drivers of all time? Of course, I think you have to put Michael Schumacher up there, Ayrton Senna, Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel, Max Verstappen is certainly on that list now as well. I'm trying to think of who else I would put on that list. I think Niki Lauda as well would have to be on there, but I think we could go on for forever speaking about the greats of Formula One. As we speak a little bit about Lewis Hamilton, who has revealed as he is preparing for his life after Formula One retirement, alongside Toto Wolff. Lewis Hamilton has expressed his admiration for Mercedes boss Toto Wolff and credited him with enabling his growth as a businessman. During his time with the Silver Arrows, the 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton has evolved beyond being solely a racing driver, guided along by his team principal Toto Wolff. Under Wolff's mentorship, Hamilton has ventured into various business initiatives. He has also been empowered to make Formula One more inclusive through projects like Mission 44 and the Hamilton Commission. The friendship that has flourished between the pair extends beyond their professional relationship, which has provided Hamilton with the opportunity to tap into Wolff's considerable business acumen. Hamilton went on to say, "We've unlocked so much. Toto and I are in contact every week, all the time," said Hamilton. "We're good friends, very, very good friends, and we are teammates. We do a lot of talking about cars, we hang out when I'm back home, we have lunch, and I'm always trying to learn from Toto as a businessman, and he's always massively supportive in that regard. You're going to see some things shift over the next couple of months into maybe the next year. You've already seen my progress, and he has been such a huge part of that, being open-minded and allowing me to be who I am. Together, we've unlocked so much, and we've done so much more than I think any other partnership that you've seen in sports on many levels." Certainly great to see the relationship between Lewis Hamilton and Toto Wolff. Lewis Hamilton in the past few weeks has been, there's been a lot of talk about him. He's opened up a burner account on, I think it was Instagram, that a lot of people have been speculating maybe a new business venture for him. We'll have to wait and see in the next few coming months whether he will release any more information on that. But moving on to another article about Lewis Hamilton, as he is currently chasing for second in the Drivers' Championship, as Sergio Perez's future is currently in woes. Lewis Hamilton's chase for second, as Sergio Perez's future is currently in woes, is currently being spoken about here by Sky Sports. As Max Verstappen has sealed a third consecutive driver's title, there is still a close battle behind him for second in that championship. Having at one stage appeared certain to complete a Red Bull 1-2, Sergio Perez's advantage over Lewis Hamilton is only 30 points going into the final 5 rounds of the season, 2 of which are sprint race weekends with extra scoring points opportunities available. Hamilton blew a major chance to narrow that gap by causing a collision with his teammate George Russell on the first lap of the Qatar Grand Prix, and also saw his advantage over Fernando Alonso fall to 11 points. Aston Martin's drop-off over the second half of the season suggests that the Spaniard is unlikely to be able to challenge Hamilton, but the Brit will no doubt be eager to chase down Perez. While Red Bull closed out on the Constructors' Championship even earlier than Verstappen did the drivers, there's still plenty to play for with the competition that dictates the crucial allocation of drivers' prize money, that is. Mercedes are 28 points clear of Ferrari in the battle for second, having given up the opportunity to significantly extend that gap in Qatar. Aston Martin's steady drift down to the lead, though. The race for second in the drivers' standings may be a significant factor in Red Bull's decision over whether to retain Sergio Perez. The Mexican has another year on his contract, but his performances over the second half of the season have been unacceptable, and in a more competitive season than Red Bull could have had, could cost Red Bull second in the Constructors' Championship, or in the Drivers' Championship. The noises coming out of the Red Bull camp in Qatar after Perez's latest disappointment display were not hugely positive, with team principal Christian Horner saying a sit-down with his driver was required. Perez will have huge support at the upcoming races in the Americas, most notable at his home Grand Prix in Mexico, and must use that positive energy to produce some sort of form that he showed when winning 2 of the last 4 races of the season. Another element that could influence Red Bull's thinking on Perez will be Daniel Ricciardo's return from a wrist injury that saw him miss 5 races following his crash in Zandvoort. If the Australian can turn in some strong performances during the remainder of the year, the Red Bull hierarchy may consider him to be a better option to partner Verstappen in 2024. Also under the spotlight will be Logan Sargent, whose Williams seat is the only one on the grid that isn't officially confirmed for next season. So still a lot to fight for in the last few remaining races of the season. We do have a triple header ahead of us. We have the Austin Grand Prix this coming race weekend, then the Mexican Grand Prix, and then I think it is Brazil after that. Then it is Las Vegas, then off to our final race in Abu Dhabi. Still a lot to fight for that second driver's position in the championship. Do be sure to let us know who you think can take that second position, as we have a bunch more people joining us at the moment in the stream. Do be sure to like the video and drop us a comment down there letting us know where you're watching from. Also, let me know any questions that you may have about Formula 1 in general. Moving on to our final article here now, as Red Bull have sparked Perez replacement rumours with a throwback photo. Red Bull have sparked wild speculation over Sergio Perez's uncertain future with a seemingly innocuous social media post including Daniel Ricciardo. Perez is embroiled in a fierce battle to retain his seat for next year despite being contracted until 2025, and Ricciardo is waiting in the wings to replace him. According to reports, the Mexican has exhausted the Constructors' Champion's patience, with securing second place his objective over the remaining 5 races. Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton is 30 points adrift, but capable of surpassing Perez, a damning scenario that appears likely to lead to the dismissal of Sergio Perez. The pressure is also growing externally, with Red Bull's online followers making their feelings clear and openly urging Christian Horner to make a drastic change in the team. Christian Horner did come out to say, though, that he does need to sit down with his driver and just hash it out before the next few slurry of races. And what caused all of this controversy or rumor on Twitter was a recent post from the team, which had added fuel to the fire following the news that the Belgium Grand Prix will remain on the Formula 1 calendar until 2025. Red Bull opted to mark the occasion with a throwback picture. However, the photo selected featured Max Verstappen and a former sparring partner, Daniel Ricciardo, a move that led to countless commenters sharing in their confusion. As Perez has no plans to retire from the sport, with these rumors described as a load of nonsense by a source, but should he continue racing next year, it may not be with Red Bull. Ricciardo is set to return for AlphaTauri at the United States Grand Prix, having completed his recovery from a broken hand, and will finally replace Liam Lawson, who had a great set of races as the super sub. Lawson caught the eye during his brief first spell at the top of motorsport and would respect a trustworthy option for AlphaTauri should they lose Ricciardo yet again. Certainly has been an interesting bunch of articles here today. Could we lose Lewis Hamilton? Not Lewis Hamilton, sorry. Could we lose Sergio Perez from that Red Bull team? Could we have him being replaced by Daniel Ricciardo? Could Daniel Ricciardo then be replaced by Liam Lawson there in AlphaTauri? Because I think that puts a lot of pressure on Yuki Tsunoda for that seat as well for the future. But a lot to think about before this race weekend in Austin. Certainly going to be very exciting. Do be sure to join us for all of our live streams that we are going to be putting out for this upcoming race weekend. It's going to be jam-packed with another sprint race ahead of us. Do be sure to join us for that. I've been Reece here on Forever Motorsports. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you to our regulars all there in the comment section. But once again, thank you very much for joining me. I've been Reece here on Forever Motorsports. Thank you very much for joining us. Cheers. Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Motorsports for another daily live news video. Not too much to talk about today, so we're doing things a little bit earlier, and then we are going to kick you across into a gaming stream after this where I'm going to be going live at about 12 o'clock to try something new out, so we'll see whether that works. But to kick things off here today, the Mercedes chief has explained the new upgrade package which is vital for their 2024 car development. Mercedes will be bringing critical upgrades to the W14 for this race weekend in Austin, Texas. The upgrade package late in the season holds significance though, as it will help guide the Brackley-based team into their 2024 season. After starting their 2023 season on the back foot, Mercedes made a drastic change in development direction mid-season. The sudden change in direction meant that the team had to once again start off the back foot once they ditched their original side pod concept. The new floor design that is set to be introduced in Austin will serve that exact purpose, as technical director James Allison has termed the upgrades as a bellwether of its current trend. Ahead of the sprint race weekend in Texas, Allison explained that it is all about an all-important upgrade package. Hopefully it will give us a bit of lap time, he said. Always a benefit, but it is mostly a useful thing, because it is a bellwether for whether you're on the right track. In lap time terms, it will be small. Useful, but don't expect us to have leaped past max. While Allison is cautiously optimistic about gaining lap time with the upgrades, it will more importantly help to set the course for Mercedes for the next couple of seasons. There are just 2 years left until the 2026 regulations, which are set to come into effect, and Allison reckons it is extremely important to start the next season with the right concept, to set the tone for the final season under the current set regulations. Yes, it is extremely exciting, he said, and he's alright. He is right that it is very important in the phase, because we all have an eye on the fact that 2026 is coming our way, with major rule changes where everything starts all over again. He concluded by saying that means that what you do for 2024 is also relevant for 2025, because a lot of parts have to be taken with you. So it is hugely important, not just for 2024, but also for 2025. Allison added that the engineers back at their home base in Brackley have a pretty clear-sighted view of what they want to do with the W14 successor. Both Mercedes drivers flourished their chances of a podium finish floundered their chances of a podium finish at the Qatar Grand Prix on lap 1 during their collision, which undid their splendid qualifying efforts. Nonetheless though, George Russell's pace was encouraging enough as he rallied through the field to take home a 4th place finish. After an underwhelming weekend in the Middle East, trackside engineer David Andrew Shovlin commented on how the Mercedes W14 would stack up at the Circuit of the Americas. That's a very different track, of course. It's an aggressive tarmac, very easy to overheat the tyres, and probably our worry there is going to be the high-speed performance. That's where the Red Bulls and McLarens look particularly strong. It does have plenty of low-speed corners though, and in Qatar we were very good in the low speed. It's difficult to know though where we are going to stand out, but our goal is to go there and hopefully be fighting for a podium. Mercedes currently sits second in the standings, 28 points up on Ferrari, with 5 rounds left in the season. Most critically though, Lewis Hamilton is still chasing down Sergio Perez for second in the Drivers' Championship. There's 30 points difference between them. Of course, last weekend out in Qatar should have been a weekend where Sergio Perez was able to extend that points lead, but he, of course, did not have a great race weekend there, receiving multiple track limit penalties, which meant that he finished down, I think, in only 10th place. Yeah, disappointing for Sergio Perez, but Mercedes could once again just close that gap to the Red Bulls and the McLarens. That little bit more yet again this race weekend. We'll have to wait and see whether those upgrades do prove beneficial for the Mercedes squad. But certainly going to be a big point to talk about in this coming race weekend. Looking though a little bit more news about that incident of Lewis Hamilton's at the Qatar Grand Prix where he crossed the track, as Max Verstappen has now been dragged into the Lewis Hamilton FIA review debate over F1 track crossings. Max Verstappen has been dragged into the debate surrounding the FIA's decision to revisit an incident involving Lewis Hamilton at the Qatar Grand Prix. On Sunday, Formula One's governing body, the FIA confirmed that it would be reassessing a penalty for the F1 7-time world champion, who received that penalty for crossing a live track without permission during the Sunday's race in Qatar. Hamilton was fined €50,000, with half of it suspended and given a formal reprimand for crossing the track under safety car conditions, following his dramatic first corner collision with teammate George Russell. At the time, the stewards noted that Hamilton had been apologetic and had acknowledged that the crossing was a serious safety breach in the initial hearing. The FIA cited that the role model status was a reason why they are revisiting the incident amid concerns about the impressions his actions may have created on younger drivers. The decision has sparked debates on social media though, with many suggesting that Hamilton is being singled out by the FIA. Sky Formula One pundit Karun Chandok was quick to question why other drivers have not been flagged for similar actions in the past. Notably, Verstappen was seen crossing the track under safety car conditions, following his Turn 1 crash with Hamilton at the 2021 Italian Grand Prix. Reacting to the news on Twitter, Chandok wrote, "Not saying that this should be condoned, that this should not be condoned, but I'm sure Lewis isn't the first person to do this. Didn't Sargent also cross the track just at the previous race in Japan? Bit odd to talk about precedent when other people have done it before." He then added, "Max at Monza 2021 is another example that I can think about." Certainly it is a bit of an odd one that Lewis Hamilton is being the only driver singled out at the moment with these incidents. As the TC says there in the comment section that the FIA is the most inconsistent sports authority in the world. They certainly do seem to be, and I've been calling out during our racing streams for more consistency with the stewards at every single race weekend. As at certain tracks we do see all of these hoopla with these track limits and all of the controversy with track limits, and at other weekends it has been set a lot more strictly and we don't see the drivers taking extra authorities and going over these track limits. But yeah, it's difficult to rule upon and difficult as a Formula 1 fan to see all of this, and I really thought it would have been done and dusted after the fact that they had given him his fine and concluded that investigation into him, and now that they seem to have reopened it, it does just seem to be opening a can of worms. Moving on though to another article with Max Verstappen appealing for Ferrari chairman to call him about a special Michael Schumacher Formula 1 car request. Max Verstappen is determined to get a hold of Michael Schumacher's legendary 2004 Formula 1 car and has urged Ferrari chairman John Elkann to call him. The recent crowned 3-time world champion has admitted that he would love to own the dominant F2004 car, which won 15 out of the 18 races and scored 12 pole positions during the 2004 season, as well as all of his championship-winning Red Bull cars. Schumacher claimed 13 victories in the F2004, setting what was then a record for the most wins in a single season, an achievement which Verstappen surpassed in 2022 with 15 victories. It was also the car which powered Schumacher to his 7th and final world championship, before his and Ferrari's F1 reign was ended by Fernando Alonso and Renault. Verstappen has appealed for help from Ferrari's chairman to get that car, as he went on to say, "I would love to have it in my garage, or the Red Bull cars with which I have won an F1 World Championship as well," Verstappen said. in addition to Michael Schumacher's F2004. It is an incredible car, but I don't know how I would buy it. This is an appeal to the Ferrari chairman, John Elkann. I hope he reads this interview and maybe calls me. In sealing his third World Drivers' title in a row this year, Verstappen has put himself among F1 greats. The 26-year-old Dutchman has joined an elite club of Formula 1 legends, including Schumacher, Juan Manuel Fangio, Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton, in winning a hat-trick of consecutive titles. Certainly has been a dominant year for Max Verstappen this year, as well as a dominant set of world titles in a row, of course, with 3 in a row. And he's just been absolutely on form at the moment. And you have to think whether he's going to be able to continue this form next year, or whether we're going to be able to see some other drivers being able to challenge him. Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reece. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, Bitdefender. Bitdefender is a global leader in cyber security. Bitdefender is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with Bitdefender, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on Bitdefender, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, Bitdefender, for joining the channel. I've been Reece here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much. Moving on though to the 2026 rule changes that Formula 1 wants to stop the early starters. 2023 marks only the second year of racing with the new generations of Formula 1 cars that were introduced in 2022. New rule changes are scheduled for 2026 though, and that season is closer than it seems. Formula 1 teams are already gauging development strategy for 2026 though, and there is likely to be an agreement on a rule that will hamper those early starters. With the budget cap instituted in Formula 1, planning ahead for development strategy is more important than ever. Before the big rule change of 2026, when engines will change dramatically, teams will want to be prepared in the best possible way. That will affect cars of the next 2 years. Amoos quotes Mercedes chief James Allison saying that the cards will be completely reshuffled that season, and everything that happened before no longer counts, as everyone starts with a blank sheet of paper. And that is a major source of hope for Red Bull's rivals, who are unlikely to beat them, led by Christian Horner in the coming years. Putting enough time, material and money into the 2026 cars will require efficient development of 2024 and 2025, said Allison. These cars of these 2 seasons will be very similar, therefore the development currently underway at the Formula 1 teams for next year's car is crucial. For Formula 1 tech enthusiasts, there may be little new to discover in 2024 and 2025. A good example of a team that's set to have already lined up its plans for 2026 is Alfa Romeo, which will participate as Sauber from next year on, appearing as the Audi F1 team at the start of 2026. Andrea Seidel has stated that hardly any work will be done on that year's car in 2025. This seems to give the Formula 1 teams reason to think and intervene and stop teams who want to start even earlier from developing their 2026 car. The medium writes that the Formula 1 team's technical chiefs have held consultations in recent weeks on the development of the 2026 car. A majority reportedly agreed that the aerodynamic development of the 2026 car in their wind tunnel should not begin before 2025. There's no confirmation of this yet, but the decision would only need ratification from the FIA and Formula 1 Commission. Of course, there are going to be teams who are currently still trying to develop their current cars that don't want other teams to move on to the 2026 regulations already, because of course then they are going to be hampered in those seasons. But you have to think there's always those teams that are thinking towards the future. How can you stop the likes of Adrian Newey, who does everything on pencil and paper, from developing and writing down any of his ideas? You can't necessarily stop that flow of ideas for him. And in certain situations, you can't stop people from developing and thinking about the future. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they do limit the amount of development that teams are going to be able to do before 2026 and before those new regulations do come into play. With one of the final articles that we have here today, as it is a bit of a shorter news show here for you guys, as we are going to be doing a gaming stream a little bit later. Just checking in the comments here, as we still have TC there, and not too many of you guys, but still a lot of interesting news coming out here today, as AlphaTauri have been called out by Rodin's Dicker, as he says that the valuation is commercially unviable for Formula One. Rodin Cars founder and prospective Formula One entrant David Dicker says that the $1 billion valuation put on AlphaTauri by Red Bull is commercially unviable. Dicker, whose recent application seeking an entry into Formula One in the name of Rodin was rejected by the FIA, and has now revealed that he held tentative talks with Red Bull over the acquisition of AlphaTauri. However, the $1 billion price tag slapped on the Faenza-based outfit makes little sense in Dicker's view. The Kiwi calling the team's value proposition weak. Well, I did have some talks about buying AlphaTauri, but the price is commercially unviable, as far as I can understand it, Dicker told Racer. You've still got to look at these things in commercial terms, and the Formula One guys are experts on the motorsport side, but on the business side, I'm not so sure. I've had a few people talk about this and that, but nothing tremendously concrete. I do have a couple of things that I might be getting a bit more info in the next week or two about some possibilities there, but the value proposition is weak. Dicker admitted to feeling upset that the FIA rejected his Formula One project, but the 69-year-old tech entrepreneur isn't giving up his motorsport ambitions, hinting that he has another idea in the pipeline. I do have another project that I'm working on, he said. It is quite interesting and exciting, but I can't talk about it quite yet because I still haven't got it. But let me put it this way, I'm pretty upset about not getting into Formula One, so I'm not just going to walk away and sulk. That's just the way I am. I mean, you want to do things, and that's what life's about. You just try to do them, and if you can't do it one way, then look for another way, or other things, or other ways of doing it. Dicker, who acquired a majority stake in Carlin at the beginning of the year, reveals he was also a potential bidder when Williams was on the market in 2020. He says that he also engaged in discussions with both Sauber and Haas in the past regarding potential investments. Well, I would buy a team if I thought there was a viable route, but paying 800 to 900 million for AlphaTauri would probably not be considered commercially viable. But you know, just got to see if there's possibilities, he said. I made a mistake when Williams was for sale, because I could have bought that pretty easily, and I didn't read the strategic landscape correctly. And that, with the way that we made the bid, which in hindsight was an obvious mistake, but that's how it goes. I had a lot of talks with Williams about buying the team, saw all the numbers and sat through presentations, and made them an offer and everything. I've had a few guys talking about other teams from time to time, mostly Sauber and Haas, which have been more or less on and off the market for years, and could have been probably bought for much lower numbers. That made a lot more sense, and like I said, I probably screwed that up. Interesting to see that there are still teams possibly on the market for the future, but we'll have to wait and see if David Dicker does get a team on the market and does get it for the right price. Of course, AlphaTauri are, you have to think, no longer on the market because they seem to be getting a title sponsor for next year. But we'll have to wait and see what does happen with all of those teams and with David Dicker in the future. Certainly very, very exciting for the Formula One landscape in the future. We'll have to wait and see what does happen with all of that. But as I said, very, very interesting to see what is happening at the moment in Formula One. Thank you very, very much, though, for joining me here today. We are going to push you across to that gaming stream that is going to be starting at 12 o'clock. So do be sure to join me there. As I see, we have Orville Clisby there in the comment section as well, saying it is all very political in Formula One. Of course it is. It is always a bit crazy in terms of the politics that does go on. But yes, thank you very much for joining me here today. I've been Reece here on Forever Motorsports. I will be joining you shortly at 12 o'clock for that gaming stream. Do be sure to join me in the comment section. I'd love to hear all of you guys alongside with me. And yes, I see TC says she will join me, or they will join me a little bit later. Thank you very much, though. I've been Reece here on Forever Motorsports. Cheers. Audi have reportedly pulled the plug on their Formula One project. A lot of rumors going around the grid at the moment, a lot of rumors going around on social media as well, that Porsche are going to take over the Audi Formula One entry. In the rather unexpected comeback, Porsche could find itself to be a part of the Formula One grid in 2026, after supposedly taking over Audi's Formula One operations. That means that all of the work done by Audi so far will be taken over and rebranded with Porsche badging. Towards the end of last year, Porsche put its Formula One entry plans on hold after discussions with Red Bull didn't find success, reportedly due to the Zuffenhausen manufacturer's unreasonable demands. With this in their rear view, the Milton Keynes outfit signed a deal with Ford as their official powertrains partner for the future, replacing Honda. In Audi's case, though, the brand began preparations to enter Formula One from 2026 onwards, through the Alfa Romeo Sauber team, which is set to be rebranded to the name Sauber for only 2.5 years until the Audi takeover in 2026. But not everything has been going smoothly with Audi after a premature exit of their CEO, Markus Duesmann, who was reportedly responsible for bringing the company's Formula One project to fruition. Unfortunately, though, his successor, Gernot Döllner, isn't as enthusiastic about the rapid growing sport. In fact, though, according to an internal source at Audi, he is even ready for a backtrack from the Formula One project. As per reports, the VW Group would still continue its plans to be a part of Formula One in 2026, but without the Audi badge. In a surprising twist to the story, the Audi Formula One project is rumoured to be taken over by Porsche, and that means Porsche would have to redo any of the homework done by Audi. It wouldn't have to redo any of the homework already turned in by Audi. It would simply take over the work done by the colleague team and rebrand it with its own logo. To further direct resources into Formula One, Porsche would abandon the Formula E project by the end of 2025. The idea of an abrupt Porsche takeover would definitely make people raise their eyebrows and open their mouths in awe. Not to forget the reaction of the Audi employees who have been working enthusiastically to witness the four rings on an F1 car in 2026. However, the Porsche takeover of the Audi Formula One operations would not be that quick and easy. There is a long due process that goes behind the scenes to rebrand all work that has been done so far. The time gap should allow Audi to have some breathing space to take it all in if the rumour is actually true. Certainly a lot of speculation going around about that. Certainly a bit disappointing if Audi are set to walk away from the sport. We don't want that to happen. But it certainly could be an option for the future if Audi are reportedly not so excited or interested anymore from taking over or taking that step into Formula One. I would certainly be upset, but at least we'd still have the German manufacturer of Porsche coming into the sport reportedly if Audi are set to walk away. Orville Clisby just says it's just a logo swap under the same auto group. Essentially it is, but yeah, I'm a major Audi fan, so it would be quite sad to lose them from the sport. But nonetheless, would be quite exciting to have Porsche in the sport nonetheless. Moving on to more Formula One rumours, though with Sergio Perez reportedly denying rumours going around the paddock that he could be announcing his retirement at the Mexican Grand Prix. As I say, though, this is just a rumour, and a rumour circulating on social media about the retirement of Red Bull driver Sergio Perez has been categorically denied by sources close to the driver. A detailed rumour about the Mexican announcing his retirement from the sport at the upcoming Grand Prix in his home country later this month has been gaining traction on social media, after a season where Sergio Perez has trailed his teammate Max Verstappen by a distance since the fifth race in Miami. The post, which was first seen on social media website Reddit, claims a former high-ranking commercial employee of one of Sergio Perez's sponsor, Escuderia Telmex, spoke at a dinner following a test day at a racetrack and said that Red Bull had told Perez they will not be keeping him for 2024, and that the decision was communicated during the Japanese Grand Prix. The post also claimed that a celebration would be prepared in honour of Sergio Perez during the Mexican Grand Prix, celebrating the driver's storied Formula One career. Perez's retirement Perez's retirement is surely not imminent, but is certainly coming closer. GP fans also asked a source close to Perez about the claims, and they said that reports of an impending retirement announcement were a load of nonsense. That would tie in with the remarks from Perez 6 weeks ago that he would race through 2026 at least, before looking to wrap up his Formula 1 career. I want to keep going, at least until 2026, when the new set of rule changes comes into effect, and experience how much I can enjoy with these new set of rules. From then on, I'll decide what will come for me in the future. Looking at these rumors on Twitter, it said there that not an actual dinner party, but easier for the title. A few days ago, several people were testing some race cars at a local track. After the day the track was over, the guys' group joined our group and we all went to dinner. And he said, I don't know this person personally, but he works for Scuderia Telmex, and he went on to say that Red Bull has told Sergio that they will not keep him for 2026 or 2024, breaking that existing contract. Nothing new in Formula 1, and there are no seats available. Only one confirmed is Williams, and pretty much going on to what we said throughout the remainder of our article. Sergio Perez, though, has himself recognised that Verstappen, who has run away with this title in 2023, has had a special season, remarking that he believes his teammates' championship run to be only one of the best of all time. This year, my objective is clearly to be second place, indicated Perez. Next year, I want to improve and fight for the title. That is my goal. You have to think, if Sergio Perez can fight for the title next year, then certainly he does have a little bit more traction than that Red Bull seat. At the moment, though, he is still fighting for that second place in the Drivers' Championship. Lewis Hamilton in that Mercedes is certainly closing down on that points haul at the moment. There's only about 30 points between them right now. And if Sergio Perez doesn't get that second place in the title, then you have to think his seat may be under a bit more pressure for next year or 2025. But nonetheless, we do expect Sergio Perez to be in that seat next year. It would certainly be a major shock if he did come out and announce his retirement in the upcoming Mexican Grand Prix. Just having a look in our poll at the moment, do you think Sergio Perez will lose the Red Bull seat? 67% saying yes and 33% saying no at the moment. Do be sure to vote in that poll if you haven't just yet. But yes, very interesting to see what all of you guys think there in that comment section. Do be sure to drop us any questions or any extra comments down there for us. As we move on to the next article, Mercedes Formula 1 drivers have been taking time away from the races to rank their Formula 1 problems. Mercedes Formula 1 drivers Lewis Hamilton and George Russell have dedicated time away from the fractious race weekends to rank their car problems to help find fixes for the 2024 season. Amid the 8-time Constructors' Champions' ongoing ground effect struggles, Technical Director Mike Elliott and Chief Technical Officer James Allison swapped roles back in April. Allison has alluded to this change leading to a shift in how Hamilton, who has cited a constant improving process, and Russell are involved in the work back at the Brackley factory. He reckons that while the team has more access to its drivers at races, the pair have put aside time for us in slightly cooler environments of home to rank their grievances. He explained that the race weekends you get your greatest access to the drivers because you're with each other for multiple hours. But it is also a very fractious environment to interact with the drivers because the pressure of doing well at the circuit means that it's just slightly less of an objective than if you're doing it back at home. The drivers have been doing well enough though to put aside their time for us in a slightly cooler environment of home, he said. That has proved useful. It proved useful for ranking the problems, as they have for seeing the opportunities and just making sure that these things that we are working on are well aligned for what they are describing. Hamilton has previously expressed his discomfort with the seat position of the W14, which is further forward relative to its rivals, making him less confident with the rear axle of the car. Russell, meanwhile, has moved forwards to a softer setup in recent rounds, something he credits with improving his qualifying performances. Allison added that Mercedes has been charting a path and has a very clear idea of the areas it must address for 2024. Even if this might be overlooked from the outside world, given that the team has not made the in-season progress of McLaren. He continued to say, I feel that all of us have a pretty clear-sighted view of what we want to do with the car. This championship, while we haven't really made the progress that McLaren have, we have nevertheless been charting a path through the season that gives us a very clear idea of what we need to put right. So that makes next year's car very exciting to look forward to, and this period of this year extremely enjoyable. Glad to hear that the drivers are making time to go to the factory during non-race weekends and just put right to those issues that they are having with the cars and just get a better understanding of where those issues are coming from, and hopefully that means that they can fundamentally get rid of them for next year and have an overall more competitive car that can fight further up the grid and fight with the Red Bulls, the McLarens, and possibly fight for that championship. We'd certainly love to have a championship that's a lot closer next year between a whole bunch more teams. As we move on to another article speaking about Toto Wolff, who has admitted frustrations following Hamilton and Russell's Qatar Grand Prix crash, but backs the pair to grow ahead of the Austin Grand Prix ahead of us this race weekend. Toto Wolff has admitted it was a frustrating weekend not to score more points in Qatar, after Lewis Hamilton and George Russell collided on the opening lap of the race. However, the Mercedes team principal backed his pair to move on from the incident as they look to get back on track in Qatar or in Austin this upcoming race weekend. Russell and Hamilton came together at turn 1 at the start of the Grand Prix, with the latter looking to make his way round the outside of the corner of George Russell. While Lewis Hamilton's race ended there in the gravel, Russell recovered into P4 after initially dropping to the back of the field. But Wolff was keen to leave the incident in the past, despite the obvious frustrations, turning his attention to maximising this weekend's Circuit of the Americas race, which kicks off the triple header that follows up with the Mexican and concludes in the Brazil race. We have a busy couple of race weekends coming up as the season reaches its conclusion, starting with the triple header in USA, Mexico, and Brazil, said Wolff. The last round in Qatar was a case of what might have been. As a team, you never want to see your cars collide. It was a frustrating weekend to leave a lot of points on the table, particularly as the pace of the car was really strong. It was encouraging though to see how the drivers and the team reacted, with both Lewis and George knowing that the team comes first and not to ever intend to jeopardize that. I'm sure that we will all grow from this moment, and we are now focused on Austin and making sure that we get the most out of each upcoming weekend. Wolff also gave an update on the upgraded floor Mercedes are set to introduce this weekend, as they look to gain some breathing space in the battle to second in the Constructors' Championship with Ferrari. It is always great to race at the Circuit of the Americas. There is always a fantastic atmosphere, and the city welcomes Formula 1 with open arms, said Wolff. COTA is one of the most challenging circuits on the current run of tracks, and a real thrill for the Formula 1 drivers. We'll be bringing a modified floor, which is the last significant update we will take to the track this year. It will hopefully bring a small gain, but more importantly, it is another milestone in setting up our development for next year's W15. The battle for second in the Constructors has become more intense in recent races, and we will need to keep our heads down and keep pushing and aim to score as many points as we can to increase our advantage. Second place Mercedes currently lead Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship by 28 points, with 5 races and 2 sprint races left of the year. So certainly a lot more potential to score points before the end of the season, and certainly a lot more points to score before that Drivers' and Constructors' Championship is wrapped up in Abu Dhabi. Moving on to one of our final articles here. This was the title for the video, and then we did see those rumours going around about Audi, and this rumour, or this new article that has come out, speaking about Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Anthony Joshua, and Rory McIlroy, who are among a host of sports stars to join Alpine's investor group. Alpine and Auto Capital have welcomed some of the world's biggest sports stars as new strategic investors into their €200 million fund, including Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Rory McIlroy, and Anthony Joshua. Auto Capital have welcomed these new partners into its existing group of premier investors in Alpine, which already included Red Bull Redbird Capital Partners, and Maximum Efforts Investments. And also actors such as Ryan Reynolds, who invested in the team earlier this year. AlphaTauri Capital have now welcomed new investors into the form of some of the world's best athletes, which include Kansas City Chiefs star Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, world number 2 golfer Rory McIlroy, former heavyweight champion boxer Anthony Joshua, and Liverpool former footballer Trent Alexander-Arnold. I'm thrilled to lead an investor group and join forces with Patrick and the team at AlphaTauri Capital on this exciting venture with Alpine, said Kelce. Our shared passion for excellence and innovation forms the cornerstone of this partnership. It is all about being able to contribute to a sport that demands precision, teamwork, and relentless pursuit of success. I'm looking forward to this new chapter and cannot wait to see what we achieve together. Mahomes added, I've always had a passion for all sports. The opportunity to lead an investor group with Travis and Alpine Formula 1 alongside AlphaTauri Capital was one I couldn't pass up on. It's an exciting time for the sport, and this is an opportunity to bring our shared values to the world stage. I'm looking forward to being part of its growth. Anthony Joshua was also delighted with the opportunity to get involved, and he went on to say, the chance to strategically invest with AlphaTauri Capital and Alpine was an opportunity I couldn't ignore. The heritage of the team, mixed with the global growth of Formula 1 as a sport and brand, made this a very serious proposition. I'm excited to start this opportunity with AlphaTauri and a great group of fellow investors, and I hope to help the team achieve its full success and potential in the future. McIlroy then went on to comment that the passion for excellence on the golf course has led me to admire the same pursuit in Formula 1. Partnering with AlphaTauri Capital and Alpine's Formula 1 is an exhilarating venture that unites my love for sports, competition, and the relentless drive to pursue the best. Co-founder of AlphaTauri Capital, Alex Schneider, said, we are honoured at AlphaTauri Capital to be joined by this particular group of investors into our Alpine Formula 1 group investment, in partnership with Redbird Capital Partners and Maximum Effort Investments. These are the best-in-class investors, athletes, and entertainers and entrepreneurs, and they are all committed to elevating the Alpine Formula 1 team. Certainly very exciting to see all of these new investors making their way into Formula 1 and into the investment group of Alpine Formula 1. As Orville Clisby says there in the comment section, Lewis Hamilton is hanging around hoping for another championship with Mercedes to beat Michael Schumacher's 7 world titles. He certainly is looking to extend his title championship lead over Michael Schumacher and hoping to break those records there. But it is certainly going to be quite difficult to do that. But I don't think you can ever discount Lewis Hamilton in Formula 1. Moving over to our final 2 articles, speaking a little bit about Max Verstappen, as Max Verstappen delivers a surprising statement about his long-term interest in joining Ferrari, discussing the issue with Formula 1 news outlets. A wise man once popularized the phrase, everyone is a Ferrari fan. There seems to be a lot of truth in this, saying that with the 3-time world champion Max Verstappen admitting his admiration for the Italian outfit. The Dutchman had a blockbuster contract with Red Bull, keeping him in the team until at least 2028. Despite this, there has been plenty of speculation regarding his future across Formula 1 news. Quite frequently, Verstappen has made headlines for his honest responses to questions about retirement. Given he is only 26 years old, there's no reason why he would want to stop racing in Formula 1 anytime soon. Quite frequently, Verstappen has made headlines. As he mentions previously, his existing contract will keep him in Formula 1 for several seasons. This alone, though, should make clear where his priorities lie. However, this does not stop conversations about his long-term commitment to the sport. Generally speaking, this discussion surrounding Verstappen retiring permanently, prematurely is unfounded, while the Red Bull driver insists his interests are beyond racing. It is far too soon to be seriously suggesting he might want to give up his racing gloves. Moreover, the Dutchman has spoken about potentially driving for Ferrari. Although he is committed to Red Bull, recent commitments or recent comments suggest that there are possibilities for driving for the Maranello outfit. It is an incredible history in the sport, or it has an incredibly... Speaking about the team, he went on to say, it has an incredible history in the sport, and is a great opportunity, and is a great opponent to compete against. A future at Ferrari, when my current contract expires, I will be 31 years old, and I think I can still do well. I would like to keep for my personal collection the 3 single-seaters which I was world champion with, but also Michael Schumacher's F2004. It is a fantastic car, however, I don't know where he buys it. I don't know how I could buy it. Is this an appeal to John Elkann? Absolutely yes. I hope he reads this interview and calls me. Similar comments are consistent across the grid, especially from drivers who have world championships. Lewis Hamilton, for example, has spoken about his admiration for Ferrari and their achievements in Formula 1. For several reasons, however, a move did not materialize. There were even reports of talks between Hamilton and Ferrari earlier on in the season, with the British driver's relationship with the team principal, Fred Vasseur, which further fueled speculation. Others, such as Fernando Alonso and Sebastian Vettel, tried to secure a world title for their Italian outfit. For various factors, neither succeeded in returning the crown to the Maranello outfit. With this in mind, Verstappen could create massive shockwaves if he ever moves to Ferrari, and although we shouldn't get carried away with all those hypotheticals, he is an all-time status. His all-time status would undoubtedly be bolstered if he can win in the Scarlet Red. However, even that possibility of this happening is well into the future. This is especially true given that, at least for now, Charles Leclerc is already established as the chosen one at Maranello. For now, there was an Italian word that I could not pronounce, so I decided to just move on from that. Regardless, seeing how much the Formula 1 driver market evolves, it will be intriguing to see. Verstappen, though, is unlikely to make a dramatic move and shock Formula 1 news headlines anytime soon, but his affinity for Ferrari is worth noting. It would certainly be great to see Max Verstappen in the red in future. You have to think that if anyone can take a world championship to Ferrari, it certainly would be Max Verstappen. Moving on to our final article speaking about Verstappen, the triple world crown champion can join the 50-win club should he pick up victory at this weekend's US Grand Prix. The half-century of Grand Prix wins is now within reach for Max Verstappen, after a stunning period of success in which he's won 39 of the last 61 races held since the start of the 2021 season. This year, he could go on to claim the first title of his career, and he has quickly added 2 more, as he has ripped up the record books in 2023 and firmly taken Lewis Hamilton's crown as the man to beat in Formula 1. Given the events of the 2021 finale in Abu Dhabi, much of the season has been yet forgotten, and some of the thrilling battles Verstappen and Hamilton have been largely overshadowed. But Verstappen's 18th Grand Prix win on October 2021 was his greatest, firmly putting Hamilton on the back foot and dealing a blow in the title race with a 14-point swing, given the 25 he got for winning and the 18 Hamilton did for second. Austin was generally considered a Mercedes circuit, but Verstappen grabbed pole position on Formula 1's return stateside following the COVID-19 pandemic, with Lewis Hamilton securing second. Given the nature of the run to turn 1 at Austin, with P2 often scything up the inside to take the lead and ferocity of the title race, the odds of both making it cleanly out into turn 1 were slim to say the least. But surprisingly, the duo did just that, with Hamilton leading from Verstappen, as Red Bull elected to stop early with the Dutchman successfully undercutting the Mercedes to regain the lead of the race. By lap 29 of 56, Verstappen was called in for his second stop, leaving him just under half the race to do on a single set of tyres, with Mercedes playing the smart game by keeping Hamilton out to build a fresh tyre offset. He stopped 8 laps later, leaving him 19 laps to chase down the 8.8 seconds or so that separated the 2 drivers. Rather than going all out and destroying his tyres and leaving no energy to be deployed, the Verstappen led the cat and mouse chase with Hamilton to begin the reel, who began to reel in his prey and carve chunks of time out from the deficit. This canny move allowed Verstappen to still have some tyre life in his Pirellis for the final assault, even picking up an assist beginning the final lap with DRS on the pit straight from the lapped Mick Schumacher. The Austin race was a composed, analytical Verstappen. The Austin race was a composed and analytical Verstappen in the mold of peak Hamilton or Fernando Alonso in his ability to lead the race and stick to executing his game plan. In 2021, the season where he took his risk against Hamilton and left his driving left a lot to be desired, such as in Imola in Spain and the collisions in Italy and Saudi Arabia, this was an excellent sign of maturity for Verstappen. It gave him the luxury of a buffer to play with the charge towards Abu Dhabi, and we all know what happened then. Could Verstappen go on to have another dominant victory in Austin this race weekend and go and extend his lead of races and lead in his title championship once again this season? Certainly he could go on to do that this next race weekend, and you have to think after the run of races that he's had this year, he could certainly go on to take this race win and win number 50 for the Dutchman and write his name firmly into the history books yet again. That is it from me though here today on Forever Motorsports. Thank you very much for joining me, Orville, and some of our other viewers here in the comment section. Thank you very much for participating in the poll as well. I've been Reece here on Forever Motorsports. Thank you very much for joining me. Cheers. Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reece. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, BITDEFENDER. BITDEFENDER is a global leader in cyber security. BITDEFENDER is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with BITDEFENDER, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on BITDEFENDER, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, BITDEFENDER, for joining the channel. I've been Reece here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much. McLaren will trial the use of cutting-edge recycled carbon fiber on its car at the United States Grand Prix. The Woking-based outfit arrives at the Circuit of the Americas, hoping to build off of a strong weekend in Qatar, where Oscar Piastri claimed victory in the sprint race before Lando Norris joined him on the podium in the main race. Working together with V-Carbon, an innovative composites organization, McLaren has sourced materials to create their first-of-their-kind components that will be used on the cockpit's branding panels. It is a step in the team's target of developing a fully circular Formula One car by the end of the decade, in line with the sport's own goals and bringing astounding benefits. If just 1% of carbon fiber manufactured across the globe last year was recycled carbon fiber, 32,535 tons of carbon emissions would have been saved. This is equivalent to half of McLaren's total emissions across last year. We're proud to team up with V-Carbon, they said, to lead the charge in sustainable materials, running with recycled carbon fiber at the Austin GP, said Piers Tyne, McLaren Chief Operating Officer. The potential future applications of RCF are hugely exciting. V-Carbon offers up to 80% of carbon fiber original strength, making it strong enough for a variety of applications in Formula One and beyond. We will work continuously with the FIA, Formula One, and fellow teams to help accelerate change in Formula One. It's very exciting to see that they are trying to trial these recycled carbon fiber materials and composites on their car for this next Grand Prix race weekend out in Austin. It's going to be very interesting to see whether this is going to be beneficial and whether it will be able to be implemented across the rest of the Formula One teams in the future. It is certainly a major talking point, a major step in the right direction for Formula One, because they are wanting to move towards more sustainable materials and more sustainability in the sport of Formula One as a whole. So certainly bringing in recycled carbon materials and carbon composites onto the cars could certainly be a major step in the right direction for the sport's sustainability. Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reece. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, Bitdefender. Bitdefender is a global leader in cyber security. Bitdefender is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula One season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with Bitdefender, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on Bitdefender, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, Bitdefender, for joining the channel. I've been Reece here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much. Haas have planned a Red Bull style upgrade that will be its biggest upgrade of the season. Haas will switch to a Red Bull style car concept before the end of 2023, with what is set to be Formula One's biggest ever season upgrade. The Ferrari customer team has persevered with a car design that features wide sidepod inlets and high-walled edges, and a sidepod surface that drops down in the middle to create a channel that turns to the rear of their car. It will finally abandon this though, by moving to what has become much more conventional throughout the paddock, with it being a more Red Bull style. Haas have realised 1 month or so before the summer break that its design concept had hit a performance ceiling, whereas others like McLaren had made significant changes and made big gains instantly. This has prompted Haas to abandon plans to bring regular upgrades to the initial VF23 concept and make a fundamental design change before the end of the year. Expected for this upcoming United States Grand Prix at Austin, in which the team boss Günther Steiner has said would be the biggest change Haas has ever made in a season. The concept of the car will change, go in that downwash direction, Steiner said. You're limited though with your chassis and a few other things as well, you know. But we are trying to do that downwash concept as well, like everybody else has got. He added, we know the direction for next year. We weren't sure. Should we do it this year or not? And then next year we go full on that route. We had to say, let's do something this year, so at least we learn as much as possible for next year. Asked by the race on how much instant progress Haas have expected from the upgrade and how much its introduction would be unlocking for more potential, Günther Steiner said that the team's biggest problem with this existing concept was that it couldn't find any performance anymore. We developed the whole year and there was nothing more that we could do, he said. And at some stage, you need to decide whether we need to do something different here. We cannot keep on banging our head against the wall, crying, and obviously, the other ones. You look at the other cars and just see that they keep on finding performance. McLaren seem to change the system. They seem to find something else, and at some stage you need to say, we need to change our concept too. We need to face reality. Very interesting to see that Haas are going to be changing their concept come this Austin Grand Prix. Whether their upgrades will be allowing them to get a little bit higher up in the standings, we'll have to wait and see. It's going to be very interesting to see if they are going to be able to make those instant changes like the McLarens were able to see early on in the season and have that instant success. And I think it would be quite exciting if we do get another car battling it out in the midfield. Mercedes will be bringing critical upgrades to the W14 for this race weekend in Austin, Texas. The upgrade package late in the season holds significance though, as it will help guide the Brackley-based team into their 2024 season. After starting their 2023 season on the back foot, Mercedes made a drastic change in development direction mid-season. The sudden change in direction meant that the team had to once again start off the back foot once they ditched their original side pod concept. The new floor design that is set to be introduced in Austin will serve that exact purpose, as technical director James Allison has termed the upgrades as a bellwether of its current trend. Ahead of the sprint race weekend in Texas, Allison explained that it is all about an all-important upgrade package. Hopefully it will give us a bit of lap time, he said. Always a benefit, but it is mostly a useful thing, because it is a bellwether for whether you're on the right track. In lap time terms, it will be small. Useful, but don't expect us to have leaped past Max. While Allison is cautiously optimistic about gaining lap time with the upgrades, it will more importantly help to set the course for Mercedes for the next couple of seasons. There are just 2 years left until the 2026 regulations, which are set to come into effect. And Allison reckons it is extremely important to start the next season with the right concept, to set the tone for the final season under the current set regulations. Yes, it is extremely exciting, he said, and he is right that it is very important in the phase, because we all have an eye on the fact that 2026 is coming our way, with major rule changes where everything starts all over again. He concluded by saying that means that what you do for 2024 is also relevant for 2025, because a lot of parts have to be taken with you. So it is hugely important, not just for 2024, but also for 2025. Allison added that the engineers back at their home base in Brackley have a pretty clear-sighted view of what they want to do with the W14 successor. Mercedes currently sits second in the standings, 28 points up on Ferrari, with 5 rounds left in the season. Most critically though, Lewis Hamilton is still chasing down Sergio Perez for second in the Drivers' Championship. There's 30 points difference between them. Mercedes could, once again, just close that gap to the Red Bulls and the McLarens that little bit more. We'll have to wait and see whether those upgrades do prove beneficial for the Mercedes squad, but certainly going to be a big point to talk about in this coming race weekend. Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reece. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, BITDEFENDER. BITDEFENDER is a global leader in cyber security. BITDEFENDER is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with BITDEFENDER, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on BITDEFENDER, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, BITDEFENDER, for joining the channel. I've been Reece here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much. Max Verstappen delivers a surprising statement about his long-term interest in joining Ferrari, discussing the issue with Formula 1 news outlets. A wise man once popularized the phrase, "Everyone is a Ferrari fan." There seems to be a lot of truth in this, with the 3-time world champion Max Verstappen admitting his admiration for the Italian outfit. The Dutchman had a blockbuster contract with Red Bull, keeping him in the team until at least 2028. Despite this, there has been plenty of speculation regarding his future across Formula 1 news. Quite frequently, Verstappen has made headlines for his honest responses to questions about retirement. Given he is only 26 years old, there's no reason why he would want to stop racing in Formula 1 anytime soon. The Dutchman has spoken about potentially driving for Ferrari. Although he is committed to Red Bull, recent comments suggests that there are possibilities for driving for the Maranello outfit. Speaking about the team, he went on to say, "It has an incredible history in the sport and is a great opponent to compete against. A future at Ferrari, when my current contract expires, I will be 31 years old, and I think I can still do well." Similar comments are consistent across the grid, especially from drivers who have world championships. Lewis Hamilton, for example, has spoken about his admiration for Ferrari and their achievements in Formula 1. For several reasons, however, a move did not materialise. There were even reports of talks between Hamilton and Ferrari earlier on in the season, with the British driver's relationship with the team principal, Fred Vasseur, further fueled speculation. Others, such as Fernando Alonso and Sebastian Vettel, tried to secure a world title for their Italian outfit. For various factors, neither succeeded in returning the crown to the Maranello outfit. With this in mind, Verstappen could create massive shockwaves if he ever moves to Ferrari, and although we shouldn't get carried away with all this hypotheticals, his all-time status would undoubtedly be bolstered if he can win in the Scarlet Red. It would certainly be great to see Max Verstappen in the red in future. You have to think that if anyone can take a world championship to Ferrari, it certainly would be Max Verstappen.
Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Motorsports here. You're joined by myself, Mark, and by Reece, of course. We've just finished pre-practice 1 and the story of the day is the same as usual as we find for the season. Max Verstappen finishes practice 1 in first with a 1:35.9. The only 1:35 of the session. Charles Leclerc and Hamilton finished in second and third.
Yes, it looks like we do have some competition though for that first position out there this race weekend. Those other two drivers being a little bit off the pace of Max Verstappen, but not necessarily miles away, as Charles Leclerc, before the end of the session, did set a purple first sector, so there is some hope for the qualifying session later this evening. Do be sure to join us for that. But making our way down the rest of the grid, of course, Max Verstappen in P1, Charles Leclerc P2, Lewis Hamilton in third, Sergio Perez in fourth, a little bit of touch with his teammates. Then we have Magnussen P5, George Russell P6, Alex Albon P7, Carlos Sainz P8, not too bad for him. A little bit off the pace of his teammates, but I don't think he got the cleanest run on those soft tyres at the end. Then we make our way through to P9, Nico Hülkenberg. They brought some major upgrades for this weekend, which is why he's down in P9 and his teammates all the way up into P5. Then finishing up the top 10 is Pierre Gasly. Mark, take us through the bottom.
Yes, let me go through our bottom 10, of course, which I want to talk about because there's some interesting things there. Sargent is in 11th. Not too bad from him. Ocon in 12th, Tsunoda 13th, and Ricciardo in 14th. Of course, Ricciardo returning for the first time since his injury this weekend. He's just behind his teammate, literally 0.05 seconds behind him. Norris is down to 15th because they did not do any qualifying simulations in this session. Neither did his teammate Piastri and Alonso, of course. So going through, 15th is Norris, 16th Zhou, 17th Bottas, 18th is Alonso, and 19th Piastri, and of course Stroll, who had a big break failure in the first 15 minutes of the session, and they're still working on the car as it is.
Certainly hoping that they're going to be able to sort that issue out. Hopefully that doesn't also go across to the sister Aston Martin car of Fernando Alonso. We don't want to see him having any issues. Just watching though some replays, this is going to be a big issue during this race and during the qualifying session ahead of us.
Qualifying, yeah.
There's going to be a lot of traffic, and we've seen Yuki Tsunoda's lap time being destroyed by it. Could we see that, as I alluded to, becoming a major issue during qualifying and the sprint shootout tomorrow?
Yeah, I don't know. And also just seeing an unsafe release already in this session as well from Pierre Gasly. I think
they've got a double pit lane here, so it's a bit wider.
And what I was going to say is I think we're going to see lots of different things happening in this in this race weekend. Especially, we saw lots of track limits being a problem. People going very wide in the second to last corner especially. And I think that's where it's going to be caught out a lot of the time. And also coming out of turn 1. And I think we're going to see lots of problems, as you say, with traffic, with people infringing on laps because it's quite narrow at some points and people get in the way. It's lots of corners, and of course corners are quite difficult to get out of the way of people because racing lines become very much across the whole corner there sometimes. So I think we're going to have lots of issues come qualifying later, and it's going to be interesting to see how drivers fend off for that.
Yes, it's certainly going to be very interesting to see how they manage that. I'm sure we're going to see the normal of Max Verstappen getting out on the first lap to try and, or in the first minute to try and set a quali attempt. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens a little bit later in the evening. For those of you waiting on qualifying, it will be getting underway at 11 p.m. South Africa time, but that is in about 2
hours and 24
minutes. Yes, is how long we have to get going for that qualifying session later this evening. Do be sure to join us for that. We're really excited for that to get underway.
Indeed. So we're going to see what happens there in that race. But nonetheless, guys, you've been joining us on Forever Motorsports. That was the free practice 1 review here in the US Grand Prix in Dallas, Texas, of course, the circuit of the Americas. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you again in the next stream. And of course, on all our videos in the channel itself. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Cheerio.
Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reece. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, BITDEFENDER. BITDEFENDER is a global leader in cyber security. BITDEFENDER is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with BITDEFENDER, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on BITDEFENDER, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, BITDEFENDER, for joining the channel. I've been Reece here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Forever Motorsports. You're joined by myself, Mark, and Reece, and we've just finished qualifying. And the big news of the day is the fact that Frederic Vasseur is so happy with his drivers. Leclerc finishes in pole position for Sunday's race here in the circuit of the Americas. Sainz finishes in 4th for his team as well. And also big news, Verstappen having his lap time deleted right at the end there, having gone quickest, then gets his lap time deleted and moves all the way down to 6th. Reece, what a qualifying we just had.
Yes, what a qualifying, and certainly that does bode quite well for the race on Sunday. It's going to be very interesting with Max Verstappen starting out of sync all the way down there in P6, but making our way through the top 10. First of all, of course, Charles Leclerc taking pole there, then with Lando Norris up in P2, Lewis Hamilton P3, Carlos Sainz P4, a mixed up start to the front 2 rows of the grid. Really going to be quite an exciting race start. Interesting is going to be the first word that comes to mind for me. And then going through the rest of the top 10, George Russell in P5, then of course Max Verstappen in P6 with that deleted lap time. Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon having a great day for the Alpine team, finishing in 7th and 8th. Then we have Sergio Perez once again not having a stellar race weekend, starting all the way down in P9 ending that qualifying session there. Then finishing off our top 10, one of the drivers who I expected to do a little bit better, Oscar Piastri.
Yeah, it's exactly one of the drivers I said. I was worried about him in Q2. I said, I'm not so sure Piastri is showing enough for me. And indeed, he didn't. In Q3, he's finished all the way down in 10th, rounding off our final driver in Q3, of course. But just going back to Q1 now, of course, the 5 drivers we lost in Q1, going from 20th up to 11th. Let's just do that quickly. Sargent in 20th at his home Grand Prix. Once again, not good enough. Although Williams could not find pace, and neither could Aston Martin. Stroll in 19th, Albon in 18th, and Alonso 17th, with Nico Hülkenberg surprisingly down in 16th as well for Haas. And they were looking relatively quick for this weekend, but not able to do so. Yeah, really poor showing from those Aston Martins and the Williams. We were expecting a little bit more from them, but they were out in Q1 quite easily there. Hülkenberg, of course, the other driver there in 16th, and again, we expect him to beat Magnussen usually, and does not do so. But in Q2, we then lost Ricciardo, Magnussen, Bottas, Zhou, and Tsunoda. Pretty much those are the ones that we do expect to lose in Q2. So not too many surprises there. So just again, rounding off that bottom 10. 11th, Tsunoda. 12th, Zhou. 13th, Bottas. 14th, Magnussen. 15th, Ricciardo. 16th, Hülkenberg. 17th, Alonso. 18th, Albon. 19th, Stroll. And 20th, Sargent.
Yes, and it's going to certainly be an interesting race on Sunday. I think it's going to be quite exciting. So do be sure to join us here on Forever Motorsports. And of course, go and check out all of our channel partners down in the description of our video. But yeah.
Did you expect this from Lando Norris to come into second position? Of course, everybody during the stream was talking about his mentality and he's been dropping off a little bit, but now he's starting at the front of the grid alongside Leclerc, another person we also talk about with mentality. So the two of them starting alongside each other could be making for a very interesting race.
Yes, I'm certainly quite excited for the start. As I said already, with a mixed up top 4 drivers here, it's going to be very exciting. I'm excited for the sprint shootout tomorrow afternoon, as well as the sprint race. Of course, tomorrow afternoon, it's going to be an exciting race weekend, a jam-packed weekend, full of action for all of you guys. So do be sure to watch and be sure to check all of our channel videos for all the upcoming live streams that we have for you guys.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about our top 3. Who do you reckon, based off of this grid that's starting on Sunday, who will be your top 3?
That are going to finish in the top 3?
Yes.
I'm going to say Charles Leclerc should be able to take the win around here if he's able to get a good race start. Lando Norris should be able to hold on for second, but what can Max Verstappen do? I'm going to say Leclerc, Norris, Verstappen.
Leclerc, Norris, Verstappen. So you're basically saying Hamilton's shopping. Hamilton's been looking quite good today. I'm gonna back Leclerc to win, Hamilton in second.
I think Norris is going to have better race pace because they've had
a lot. I suppose it is a good point.
Race tire.
No, you know what? I'm going to throw something else completely there, and I'm going to have a new...
And it's Lando Norris' 100th race, as Anchi Manchi says.
I know. This is what I'm saying. Lando Norris to get his first ever win at his 100th race in Formula 1 here, starting in second position, right behind Leclerc. They've had lots of race simulations. It should be good enough for them. I reckon Lando Norris wins the Circuit of the Americas. Leclerc in second and Hamilton in third. And I don't think Verstappen makes the top 3. That's my prediction. Very bold.
Very
probably
bold.
Stupid, but that's my bold prediction. And it could be insane if that does actually happen.
Well, certainly going to have to see what happens on Sunday when it all does count. But thank you very much for joining us here on Forever Motorsports. I've been Reece, and I've been joined here by Mark. Thank you very much, and cheers. Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reece. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, BITDEFENDER. BITDEFENDER is a global leader in cyber security. BITDEFENDER is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with BITDEFENDER, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on BITDEFENDER, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, BITDEFENDER, for joining the channel. I've been Reece here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much. Welcome to the Circuit of the Americas, home of the US Grand Prix. The Circuit of the Americas track, based in Austin, Texas, is a 5.15 kilometer long circuit, made up of 20 corners and 2 DRS straights, in which drivers spend around 59% of the lap at full throttle. The circuit designers took inspiration from classic F1 circuits when designing this track, such as the complex between turns 3, 4, 5 and 6, which took its inspiration from Silverstone's Maggots and Beckett's, as well as replicating Istanbul's famous turn 8 in the final sector of the track. This circuit has been on the F1 calendar since 2012 and became the 6th different US track to host a Grand Prix event. Since its inaugural race, 10 races have been held at this circuit, with 5 different drivers taking the winner's trophy, with the most successful driver around the circuit being Lewis Hamilton with 5 of those race wins. The US Grand Prix has been won from pole position on 5 occasions, with the current lap record being a 1 minute 32 seconds .029 set by Valtteri Bottas in 2019. The other 5 wins have come from second on the grid, while the race has never been won from a driver who hasn't started on the front row. This will make getting the race win around here that much more difficult for drivers who don't maximize their qualifying position on Friday. This Formula 1 weekend has a jam-packed schedule, with FP1 and qualifying on the Friday, the Sprint Shootout and Sprint Race on Saturday, and of course, the main event on Sunday. Watch now as you get taken around a lap of the Circuit of the Americas. Let us know in the comment section who you are supporting for the US Grand Prix. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We sure hope to see you during our live coverage of the US Grand Prix. Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Motorsports for the Sprint Shootout ahead of the Sprint race later on this evening. Certainly looking very forward to the session. It's going to be quite exciting. Track limits could once again become an issue, as we saw last night in the qualifying session. Max Verstappen losing out on his P1 time due to track limits. He now starts the race on Sunday all the way down in P6 behind George Russell. Unfortunately for himself, he's going to be kicking himself a little bit about that. But certainly quite a competitive field though for the Sprint Shootout and the Sprint race ahead of us this afternoon.
Yeah, exactly that. And of course, we saw Leclerc get pole for Sunday's race, which is of course tomorrow, and you'll catch it on Forever Motorsports. Of course, so be sure to subscribe and like the video and the channel, of course, so that you can be notified about that. But can he do the same thing today in the Sprint Shootout? Of course, we've got the Sprint race later today. It's more interesting, I find, these Sprint races than the Grand Prix sometimes, simply because there's less time for Max Verstappen and those Red Bulls to catch other people if the qualifying, or rather Sprint Shootout, it doesn't quite work as it does during the race. Or like yesterday for Max Verstappen when he came 6th. So we might see a similar sort of scenario where Max Verstappen's not as high up, and of course he's got fewer laps then to try and get near the top there. So a very interesting race or Sprint Shootout in store for us, of course, but we've got the Sprint Shootout first, which will then determine how exciting it could be. I'm expecting some improvements from Oscar Piastri and from Sergio Perez, and of course from Aston Martin, who were quite shocking yesterday with regards to their qualifying, finishing all the way down in 17th and 19th respectively. So really want to be watching them to see if they can improve. Alex Albon and the Williams, of course, will be looking to improve. And yeah, let's see if Max Verstappen can try and get a lap that doesn't have limits being a thing.
I don't think it's necessarily a common thing for Max Verstappen. He doesn't make these mistakes very often, and it's very uncharacteristic for him to make these mistakes in qualifying, so he certainly will not be making that mistake again in the Sprint Shootout session, you would at least think. But we'll have to wait and see. Of course, he had a really fast lap time at the end there. Disappointing for himself to have had that removed, but it makes the race on Sunday just that much more exciting. Looking at what we could see as our ideal order for the end of this qualifying session or sprint shootout session. It could be a Verstappen, Hamilton, Leclerc on the top 3. I think that's highly likely ahead of here. I think Hamilton didn't get the best lap in either. He had a bit of a mistake in his final run, but so did Max Verstappen. So we could see a very close top 3.
Yeah, I think that's exactly that. Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton should surely be right near the top there. Lewis Hamilton's been doing very well when he's had a clean lap around here. Has been very, very quick. It's just whether or not he can get a clean lap. He's made mistakes often, unfortunately, in his attempts, which has resulted in him being a little bit slower than the rest of the grid. Of course, he does still start third tomorrow in the race, so not too bad for him at all. But for the sprint shootout, he'll really be wanting to aim for pole.
Yes, I think he certainly has some pace for the race on Sunday. We definitely will be watching what Lewis Hamilton is doing. But who do we think could take the top of qualifying here today? I think well, perspective one was relatively, my word, just looking at these shots here, you can see the rim being separated from the tyre wall there on these Pirelli rubbers as Max Verstappen goes round. I think it's turned 16 around the circuit. Just shows how much G-force is going through those tyres. Could that be an issue here?
No, I don't think it'll be that much of an issue. I think it's probably just something to have a look at that we've not quite focused in on before. But yeah, lots of people joining us in the chat, of course. Be sure to let us know where you're watching from and, of course, what your predictions are for the sprint shootout and for the race tomorrow based off of qualifying yesterday. Elvis here saying Sir Lewis will win and Tomato Head 45 Tomato, what a name, saying Hamilton P1, Max P2 and Norris P3.
Bold predictions ahead of us.
Well, what I am going to do is we've got a poll currently running there, but I am actually going to end it because it's quite even across it. The results there that we've got here for who will top the sprint shootout says Verstappen with 33%,
very even.
Hamilton with 29%, Leclerc with 29%, with 7% going to anybody else on the grid. So yeah, very, very interesting there. Let us know if you guys have a different name that you'd like to rather put up there. And we're going to start a new poll with who's going to top shootout 1.
Tomato Head 45 is saying he's watching from, or they're watching from Canada. Thank you very much for joining our stream here. A lot to come here this evening. We've, of course, got the sprint shootout ahead of us. And then, of course, as well, the sprint race. The highlight of today, of course, is going to be that sprint race. It's going to be quite exciting. That's not too long ahead of us this afternoon or this evening.
No, not at all. That's yeah. So we've just got that poll going up for who will top shootout 1. Of course, the shootout works in 3 stages, just like qualifying. Only the sessions are much shorter. So instead of 18 minutes for session 1, we'll have 12 minutes. Instead of 15 minutes for session 2, we'll have 10, and instead of 12 minutes for session 3, we will have 8 minutes. So it goes 12 minutes, 10 minutes, and 8 minutes in each shootout. So very, very short.
Quick one. Yes, Mark is hoping it runs on time because we've got the Springboks game in between this and the sprint race later on this evening. Do be sure to go and check out our other streams as well if you want to watch that Springbok final. Semi-final.
Yes.
That's it.
And the Rugby World Cup is currently happening at the moment. It's a big event happening off in France. And yes, South Africa, which is where we're from, are currently in the semi-final. So we're very keen on that as well. But we've got Formula 1 just before it and just after it as well. So very keen to see what happens in the racing that happens here. Not a Raccoon saying manifesting a Ferrari podium. So he's doing the shenanigans in terms of understanding whether or not we can get those racing gods to get them on the podium. So
interesting to hear. So for SQ1 sprint qualifying 1, it's going to be mediums. Sprint qualifying 2, you also have to use mediums. Sprint qualifying 3, though, you have the choice of soft.
So having only the medium tyres is going to maybe benefit McLaren, who had many laps on the mediums yesterday in practice 1. Which was very interesting to watch as well. So maybe that will benefit them here in the sprint, as we now have just hit 100 viewers. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to like the video. Hit that like button right now. Let's get up to 50 likes as quickly as possible. And seeing some more regulars joining us here as well. Donnie here saying from welcome, of course. Hamilton P1. Cora saying no worries for a question which was answered. Fantastic there.
F1 23 showing their real dedication here, saying that it's 4 in the morning where they're from. So thank you very much for joining in on our stream. Certainly looking forward to this sprint shootout session ahead of us as we're seeing the Formula 1 titles rolling now. Do be sure to drop your predictions down there in the comment section and let us know who you think is also going to take the win later on this evening in the sprint race.
Yeah, exactly that. So at 4 o'clock in the morning, it is quite a lot of dedication there. I love seeing the sort of dedication that we have. So just noting now, of course, we've got the sprint getting going in just a little bit. We will have a timer going down for each session here in Texas. So this is round I'm being attacked. The wildlife is attacking me.
It's a moth.
No, it's a Christmas beetle, in fact. It's a bit early for Christmas. It's still October. So, round 19 here in Austin, Texas for United States. It is the sprint... Ow! Go away!
It is the sprint shootout ahead of the sprint race later this evening for the 19th round of the 23-round season. Just looking at some stats about this circuit, it is a 5.513 kilometer long circuit, 3.4 miles. Full throttle is spent at around 57% of this lap, and the track record is a 132 set by Valtteri Bottas. The top speed around here is 344 kilometers an hour. And looking at our tyre compounds for this race weekend, Mark, they are going to be the C4,
I think, isn't it?
I think
C4,
it's
C3, and C2, I thought it was. I just want to confirm this. Weather conditions, though, saying clear, 32 degrees, track temperature, 36 degrees. The humidity is quite low, 24
degrees. A little bit lower
degrees.
than yesterday in the practice session. So we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen here. But it could get that much hotter as the day gets on.
Also, it's a little bit windier, 12.6 kilometer wind heading in a southeasterly direction, which might affect some of the drivers. We have seen that wind at certain corners, especially turn 1, has become a bit of a thing, and the last turn was also a little bit of a problem with regards to wind. So, noting here, of course, SQ1, 12 minutes, SQ2, 10 minutes, and SQ3, 8 minutes, which does mean that around this track, you basically have only 2 attempts in the last session. So, really have to get those laps nailed by all the drivers. If they don't, they could drop quite far down in the sprint. And, of course, the sprint race being so short, you might not be able to make up enough places there. Lots of people joining us in the comments. Great to see that. I hope Alonso does better than what he did yesterday. Iman saying there, indeed, he was rather shocking with Aston Martin for qualifying yesterday. Hopefully the sprint shootout is much better for him. Lindy, we're joining us back in the comments. Great to have you here. Hello, everybody. And it's Martin here just asking, if you were Mercedes team principal, would you keep the same driver's lineup? I don't see why not.
Yes, I think you couldn't get rid of Lewis Hamilton. He's such a experienced driver and is really deeply rooted in that team at the moment. He's done so well to build that team around him with really experienced engineers and managers. That cannot be nice for Charles Leclerc, getting a bunch of flashes in his eyes from his screens there. But yeah, he's getting ready to go out now as we have just under 1 minute left to get going. We have 10 seconds actually. I'm watching on my phone, which is a little bit delayed, but we do have 10 seconds left to get going as all of the teams now wait to release their drivers from their pits. Not a Raccoon says that the sprint races are just so anxiety triggering. Yes, certainly, because if you make a big mistake and have a big shunt, that could compromise your race on Sunday. So you don't necessarily want to have any big mistakes. As we should now have the session getting underway. We're watching all of the drivers getting ready to go out on track. We have a red flag though showing, Mark.
A red flag, I think, just because we've just not started yet.
Yes.
So we'll wait for that timer to start up, and then we'll, of course, get going. I think it might have actually already started.
Yes,
indeed, we are now starting.
11 minutes and 30 seconds is how long we have to get going. And Mark is going to start that right now.
Look at that. Perfect. So it is now starting. We'll just go quickly change the text just quickly. But nonetheless, sprint. So we're just going to say SQ1 ends in. So sprint qualifying 1 ends in 11 minutes, pretty much more or less around about there. We have now got the green flag and drivers are making their way out onto track. As we do see the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton heading out. He seems to be the first car out on track as... yeah, everybody else is a little bit slow to get out. I mean, it's taken about 30 seconds before everyone's decided to exit the pits.
I think you have to remember what happened yesterday in terms of the, not necessarily degradation, but the evolution of the circuit. When you have cars out there, you don't want to be the first ones out there. It's quite good to maybe be one of the last teams out there because the track does grip up so quickly around here. But we are watching now Lewis Hamilton make his way around the circuit as he makes his way through the second part of the circuit now.
Indeed. So just one more time, going through what we said earlier, the mandatory tyres for the sprint shootout. The SQ1 will have medium tyres, SQ2 also mediums, and SQ3 will then be soft tyres. So, yeah, everybody's going to be on the medium tyre for this, which means that the times will be a little bit slower than we saw yesterday in qualifying, but it shouldn't be that much slower. I'm sure people will still push it to the limit, although tyre management's a big thing for this weekend as well, with a sprint. Of course, lots of tyre degradation happens as a result of more racing. More people in the comments. Sorry, just saying, Noel joining us from Johannesburg. Not a Raccoon saying sprint races are just so anxiety triggering. Not so sure.
I did comment on that earlier.
Yeah. But Pure Blood also joining us in the comments. Great to have more regulars back here. So 10 minutes left in the shootout, or just under 10 minutes. What's going to happen here, Reece? Who are 5 that are going to drop out?
Well, unfortunately, I think we're going to see maybe Alex Albon getting dropped out again. He was dropped out in the first part yesterday. Alex Albon was also dropped out there. Hopefully, he'll be able to pick up his act and get that... Well, not necessarily his act, but I mean, get that car a little bit higher up than it was earlier on.
No, sorry, you just said Alex Albon twice. I was just confused.
Did I?
Yeah, that's all good. I think you might have meant Alonso.
No, Alex Albon.
Alex Albon,
Williams.
yes, I know, but I'm just thinking in terms of another driver that needs to
Logan
also
Sargent.
improve is Logan Sargent and Alex Albon, and those both was Williams. But just thinking also Aston Martin were terrible in qualifying yesterday. Really want to see a big improvement from Alonso as well. And Lance Stroll, let's see if he can actually do something. He's got lots of points to prove now. Everybody's on his back. Everybody's on his case, rightly so probably, in terms of whether he should have a future in the sport. Everybody has their opinion on that already, but he's got 5 races to prove if he's actually worth looking at a second time. Lewis Hamilton now starting our first hot lap of the day as he goes down the start-finish straight. And on those medium tyres, a few drivers making their way out of the pits at the same time, but he will not have too much traffic straight away.
Big puff of brake dust as he jumps onto the brakes. Hopefully that's just because it's the first big braking point of the circuit for the first time of the day. But he looks quite neat and tidy through this first sector there. Really tricky sector, very technical, but the drivers really do enjoy it. He's fastest up there with 25.8. That's quite good for that sector. I think we saw a bit faster though yesterday.
We saw about 25.1s as the quickest, I think, in Sector 1. So we're already about half a second to more than half a second down in Sector 1. But Lewis Hamilton's finishing up Sector 2. Let's see what sort of time he puts in as a result, and we can sort of get a
big
benchmark.
Snap of oversteer as he comes through turn 11. But he does manage to wrangle that car into order as he now comes down the back straight.
And yeah, so he's got a 38.8, which has already been taken away by Nico Hülkenberg, who's going around as well, just behind Lewis Hamilton. He's got a 38.7. So Hülkenberg is quite on Hamilton's tail here, which is very interesting. Of course, the sprint shootout is so quick already. We've only got 7.5 minutes left, so everybody needs to try and get around again. They don't have too much time for too many laps, so you really do have to nail your laps. As Lewis Hamilton finishes up the first hot lap of the day at 136.4. Where does
far down on the times that we saw yesterday?
Yeah, and let's see what Hülkenberg does.
What we saw, but as you say, Hülkenberg is doing quite well there. He puts himself behind Hamilton with a 137.051, quite a bit behind. I thought he would have been a little bit faster. Carlos Sainz though fastest in the first sector. We have Charles Leclerc putting in purple mini sectors, and where will he put himself now as he comes through that final 2 sectors now?
Yeah. So we're going through. We've got 4 times on the board. Hamilton, Hülkenberg, Bottas, Magnussen currently as it is. But Sainz, as Reece says, with that purple sector in Sector 1. Can he do
improving in the middle sector, though, as Leclerc seals that purple now?
In Sector 2, yeah. So
Yes.
Leclerc gets Sector 2 purple. Sainz is following him. He's got a couple of purple mini sectors as well. He might go quicker than his teammate. Let's see if that will happen. That guy here is joining us from Zim. Great to see you here. He's got exams on Monday, but he can't miss us. So, well, we don't like to see you missing us either. So great to have you here. Norris goes second. 136.7. So Hamilton's 4 that we thought was going a little bit slowly has put the quickest time on board, as Leclerc and Sainz, though, seem to be making it up quite a lot. Leclerc's crossing the finish line now. Reece, where will he finish?
Leclerc just waiting for him to finish. He goes first now with the 136.3.1 seconds up on Lewis Hamilton. Exactly 0.1 seconds up. That's incredible. They're very close at the moment, but that does show the evolution around the circuit as we are now getting Max Verstappen starting his hot lap.
Yeah, and Sainz now finishing up his lap. He might beat Leclerc now. Well, he will go top. No, he won't. He's just behind his teammates. 0.02 seconds behind. As we see Mick Schumacher in the pits of Mercedes, of course, watching on reserve driver for the Mercedes team. Will he have a seat next year? It's looking more and more unlikely as we go on. But Max Verstappen now starting his hot lap.
He takes the fastest first sector now overall. What can he do through the middle sector? He's not normally as fast through there, but he needs to keep this lap clean. He can't have track limits like he did yesterday, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I mean, it's such a short session already, noting the fact that we've got like just 5.5 minutes left. And everyone has pretty much only done 1 lap. We might see a little bit higher fuel loads.
Though, in that first sector, if I do note that. He does look so neat and tidy, though. Just watching him on track limits, he does look very neat. I think everyone is being quite cautious, though, on track limits today.
Yeah, I think
they don't want to risk.
Well, especially in the first sprint qualifying.
Yeah.
So Max Verstappen's got purple Sector 2 as well now as he's going through Sector 3. Let's see if he can put the fastest time of the day on the board. I'm sure he will. It could be a 135. I think it should be a 1:35. He's quite well up on Leclerc's time. So let's see if that will happen.
Verstappen hits 322 kilometers an hour down the back straight as he is once again almost 0.3 up in that middle sector. He's coming through the final sector now. Where does he finish? He comes across the line and he puts his car up into, just waiting for it. First, of course, with the first 1:35 of today. Of course, we expect him to get a little bit higher, but he is quite a bit up on everyone else.
I think though everybody's on a, well, actually having said that, everybody's now making their way back into the pits. So we see Hamilton's in the pits very quickly just to maybe...
within track limits in the final sector though. Very neat and tidy. He will not want to make a mistake again.
Yeah, that is, of course, for Verstappen, who's first now. So Hamilton has made his way back to the pits. I think most people might make their way back to the pits after their hot laps just before going out again. We've only got about 4 minutes left in the shootout, so everybody's got to rush back to the pits before getting out. I think Max Verstappen might need to rush a little bit. Sergio Perez only goes 5th fastest, just by the way, at 1:36.3.
Yes, not where we'd expect Sergio Perez to go just yet. Do be sure to hit that like button, guys. It does help us get recommended in the search bar, and it really does help us all to get more people in the chat. So, just watching Oscar Piastri coming around the circuit. Is he doing all right out there, Mark?
I think he's doing all right now. He's got a few personal bests, but his first lap was not brilliant at 1:37.9, so he really needs to improve upon that. But we just saw Rory McIlroy, of course, golfing legend, is in the pits there at this Grand Prix this week. So I think that's right off the back of one of the golfing tournaments.
No, he's also invested in Alpine.
Ah, very interesting. Well, there you go. That's what it is. So Piastri now going around. He's got a lot more personal bests. Hopefully he'll get himself much further up the grid than his first lap did. Let's see if he can.
Interestingly, George Russell had open comms on his headset, so he was listening to all of the engineers on his outlap. So he's kind of pretty much told them to shut up so he can concentrate on his flying lap.
Yeah, it is quite funny. As Piastri does cross the line now, 1:36.8. Still not brilliant for McLaren. They're down in 10th and 11th. So a little bit of concerns for McLaren straight away as we don't have much time. Just 2 minutes and 45 seconds left. So really do need to get back around. I don't know if Piastri's going to be able to make it back to the pits in time. He might have to just hope that he's going for a double push lap.
11th. Not really necessarily safe.
No, as I said, that's what I'm looking at. It's quite low down. And Norris has only gone up to 8th after finishing up that lap, and he's not got much time to get back to the pits unless they're going for a double push lap. Maybe it's a double push, maybe they've got more fuel on, that's why they're a little bit slower. But concerns already for McLaren. Verstappen's first, though, still with the 2 Ferraris just behind him here. We've got just 2 minutes left of the session. Zach Brown watching on, of course.
He looks a little bit confused as to why they don't have the pace in the session, but just watching on with the Mercedes engineers, they could be quite worried. Where's Hamilton? He's up in 7th now, they're fine. I couldn't see where they were, so I was getting a little worried for the Mercedes. George Russell putting a good lap around here, putting himself up into 4th. The Ferraris, though, looking quite dominant once again.
Yeah, the Ferraris looking like they're going to be quite good this today.
Jockeying for position happening at the moment out on circuit, though, between Fernando Alonso and one of those Williams out there. They're all trying to get the best position to start their lap now.
Yeah, indeed. And Alonso, of course, is all the way down in 15th, still. Stroll down in 19th. Sargent's still right at the back of the grid. I think he had his lap time deleted for track limits, so he's right at the back there. Stroll and Alonso and those Aston Martins still struggling today, it seems. We've got 2 minutes to go. They've got one more attempt, and they're quite far down the grid. Let's hope that they can get themselves into at least SQ2.
Yes, Han Solo asking us, do we think if Red Bull will play it safe for the remainder of the season? Well, watching what Max Verstappen is doing, I don't think so. They want to go into every single race weekend and take the win. Just watching Alexander Albon get ready to start his hot lap now. He comes around the final corner. He's trying to jockey, though, with Fernando Alonso. He does concede it there as Russell confirms that the radio is now all good.
Yeah, indeed. So we're going to see the final laps here. It's going to come right down to the wire in the sprint shootout. Max Verstappen has not come out of the pit, so he backs himself to be safe. I'm sure he will be safe, so they're not going to risk coming back out again. So we've got just a minute left. Well, actually less than a minute. 40 seconds left in the shootout. Let's see what everybody can do as Alex Albon does start that lap now, following on a few other drivers. Of course, we see a new purple sector from Leclerc, in sector 2.
You were correct, by the way. The McLaren's on double push laps.
Yeah. So good to see that McLaren's maybe have a little bit more pace. Although looking at the times
from Piastri in the first sector, I see a purple mini.
Do you? I see only greens. I see a yellow and a green.
In the first, it's a purple.
No, it is a purple. It is a purple mini sector. But Leclerc's gone quickest in the second sector. He's got a couple of purple mini sectors in the third one. Where does he go? Only just behind Verstappen as he finishes up that lap. My word.
Close. 0.002 splitting those two drivers. He steals Max Verstappen's middle sector as we're now watching Alex Albon go around out on his track. Esteban Ocon also doing quite well.
Yeah, so everybody, of course, just trying to get themselves into SQ2. Sainz finishes up his lap. He doesn't really improve too much. He will stick in third as at the moment. That's what it stands at. Stroll moves into 10th, so much better from him. So would he be safe? I'm not sure that's going to be good enough to be safe, as there's a lot of drivers still following on. Let's see what everybody else does across the line. Alonso moves into 6th. Maybe he should be safe. I think he should be safe there.
I'm hoping he's going to be safe with a lap time like that. Lance Stroll has also come across the line. He only puts himself up into 12th.
Alex Albon up into 3rd, a 136.2. There you go. He will be definitely secure for the next session. Russell's got a purple sector in Sector 1. Let's see what his lap time's going to do. But brilliant from Albon and Alonso. They seemingly should be in the next session. Just watching here, Gasly also got a purple sector in Sector 3, but was slow in the other 2 sectors.
Piastri comes across the line now. He only puts himself up into 14th. He could still be in trouble here. Lando Norris up into 10th. He finishes up his lap with a 136.4.
I don't think Piastri's going to be safe here. I don't think Piastri will be safe. He's down at 14th already right now. Let's see if he's going to move down further, as we've got a couple
Ricciardo
people.
comes around the final corner now. Where can he put himself? He's down in 20th. He crosses the line. Does he get out?
He does.
He goes into 15th.
Oh, it's 15th temporarily.
Is that going to be safe for this session?
And Russell, does he improve upon his time? I don't think he's going to be able to. Let's see, Russell's time. It's slightly quicker, but not that much quicker. Not enough, at least. Seeing Piastri and Ricciardo right in the danger zone. But will they remain there? Sonoda, obviously, interestingly, being beaten by his teammate. I think that is the end of it. That is the end. So we do have our eliminated drivers. Sargent, Sonoda, Bottas, Magnussen, Hulkenberg. Ricciardo outperforms Sonoda.
Well, glad to see that Daniel Ricciardo was able to get out of that session. That will certainly do well for his confidence out here. Yuki Tsunoda, though, really interesting that he's all the way down to 19th.
Yeah, as I say, Yuki Tsunoda being very much outperformed by Daniel Ricciardo there. He's out. Sargent once again in 20th. He did not have a good run again in this whole Grand Prix.
Yuki Tsunoda once again doing the expletives on the radio. Not something uncommon for him.
And both Haas unfortunately out in the first session as well. And
I think if you're Liam Lawson, you have to smile a little bit at that, though, as you're seeing him.
Liam Lawson must be licking his lips with regards to AlphaTauri's drivers right now. Just watching a replay here, my word. Just seeing Ferrari here of Charles Leclerc getting so badly held up.
The Mercedes.
I
think that's Russell.
I think that's Hamilton, actually. No, it's Mr. Russell.
That is so dangerous. As Leclerc says on the radio, and a penalty for Mr. Russell. Thanks. Because he did completely ruin his final flying lap there in SQ1.
Yeah, so Russell, they're very much getting in the way of Leclerc. That could be a very big danger thing. There you go. Turn 19 incident involving car 63 Russell. And Leclerc will be investigated after the session for impeding. You might well get a sprint shootout penalty, a grid place penalty for that
I would
maneuver.
imagine a 5-place penalty for that.
Yeah, very much. Although, at the same time, it didn't affect Leclerc going into the next session. So they might well say it's just an incident. Not so sure, but I certainly think it was a bit too much of an of impeding for it not to result in some form of penalty. But yes, we do now, of course, have our 5 drivers done for that session. We're now going to move into SQ2. So let's end that poll there for who will end shootout 1 in first position. So we had Verstappen with 40% of the vote. That was correct. Hamilton then got 30%. He was all the way down in 9th. So not quite correct there. Leclerc with 21%. He was in 2nd. So not too bad there. So we'll start our next poll. Be sure to participate in it as it goes up for who will top SQ2.
Leonardo Longhi there saying, let's go Ricciardo. Keep Liam Lawson's streak going of beating Yuki Tsunoda, as Yuki now, the very angry looking driver, making his way through to the scales to weigh himself after the session.
Yeah, it's not a happy driver at all. Not a happy camper as he's down in 19th. So you'll start the sprint shootout right at the back there.
Yes, he's really looking quite upset. But glad for Daniel Ricciardo, who does make his way through into this next session. Certainly looking excited for that session. A lot of people joining us in the comment section. Thank you very much for joining us. Do be sure to hit that like button. We have now just gotten over 51 likes. Do be sure to hit that. Let's get it to 100. Let's get it to 200. There's 300 of you watching. Do be sure to just hit that like button for us. As F123 says, I've got a snake in my boot. Just saying that we're here in America. Watching everyone here in the grandstands. Quite excited for this next sprint session. I'm certainly looking forward to the sprint race later on this afternoon.
Yeah, well, I think everything's quite close together. They're looking at those times. They're 135s, 136s, all the way down to 19th position, and really not too much time between all of them. The gap from 1st to 19th is just 0.9 seconds, so really not too much to split all of them. Of course, a second is quite long in Formula 1, but when you think that it's all the way down to the 19th driver, as all my words...
Lewis Hamilton gets very badly impeded. Who is this?
I have no idea, and that's what I was noting, because just before Leclerc got impeded there, we saw, oh my word...
That's Yuki Tsunoda.
Yuki Tsunoda is going to be in big trouble for that as well. He can't get much more trouble. He's down in 19th, but it really put a problem on Hamilton.
Get rid of the
that was a good catch. There was a good catch from Reece. They caught the bug in midair and just said, get out of the room. He has been flying around here. He's gone now.
He's been ejected out the window, as has Yuki Tsunoda. He's been ejected from this qualifying session.
Yeah, and oh my word, not a chance.
Oh
no. My word.
And I assume that swings round as well. There's this massive big ride, and I think it does do some loop-de-loops, Mark. That is a definite no from me.
Yeah,
but a great view of the track from there,
We've just seen the most horrible little ride there. Yeah, not my cup of tea whatsoever. So we're about to have the start of SQ2, and I'm just going to quickly calculate as 10 minutes. Obviously 600, obviously. Being stupid. So there we go. We're going to have that, of course, starting in just a little bit.
Just reading there what Eman says, Stroll got into Q2. Certainly he did better than yesterday. Glad to see that both of those Aston Martins have been able to find a little bit of pace. Maybe they've just gone into the engineering debriefs after yesterday and kind of just looked at what they've done with their upgrades and maybe just found a little bit of a better setup for today.
Yeah, hopefully they have found a better setup, and of course, let's see what they can do for the sprint later on, as that will be a possible opportunity for them to actually get some points, because I don't think they're going to get much points tomorrow, starting so far down the grid after qualifying yesterday. Our friend is back. So, oh well, we'll have to put up with him. So let's go and see what happens in SQ2, as we do see the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc make his way down the grid.
The session now does go live for this SQ2 session. F123 says, come on, Lando. And Oscar, as not a raccoon, says, Charles looks a little bit like a Christmas ornament with that helmet. I think he looks like Luigi with that helmet.
Yeah, indeed, that's quite true there. So SQ2 will be ending in 9 minutes and 40 seconds as all the drivers are now making their way out. So really not a lot of time for everybody to get around. Max Verstappen leads the session out as everybody's following him out there, including his teammate. Now, Perez in that first session also only in 4th up there, so not too bad for him. But let's see if he can improve upon that in this session as well.
Yes, we've got a whole bunch of support coming through from everyone in the comment section. Do be sure to vote in our poll, as well as let us know who you're supporting for the sprint race later on this evening. Watching George Russell now, he's the one who impeded on Charles Leclerc. There's a bit of work going on his brakes, so we'll have to wait and see what develops with this. Quite frantic work going on his car there. We do have a bunch of drivers out on circuit though now. At the moment we have Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez, as well as Carlos Sainz out there on circuit. You'd expect that a whole bunch of other drivers will get out there quite soon.
And interesting, Fernando Alonso's staying in the pits at the moment, so not making his way out.
Letting the track evolve a little bit more, not wanting to ruin an extra set of tyres as well.
Well, I think Red Wolf is certainly making a comment that not many people will actually support in terms of saying, let's go Stroll. And I don't think many people are big Stroll fans. So if you are a big Stroll fan, let us know in the comments. I'd be interested to see if there are those. And yeah, I mean... let's see what happens in the sprint shootout. Yeah, the McLarens weren't brilliant in that first session. Let's hope that they improve a bit. And yeah, I think it's good to see that Aston Martin have at least significantly improved.
There, it's now gone.
Well, hopefully it's gone. He might make his way back in again. It's just that irritating bug just really bugging us. As we see Max Verstappen making his way around in the third sector here, ready to start up his hot lap for SQ2.
Lewis Hamilton sitting quite comfortably in his car at the moment. He's not getting out anytime soon. His gloves are off. He's looking at some data on his screens. Yeah, but what can Lewis Hamilton do here today? His car looks quite competitive around the circuit. Well, at least it was yesterday. Max Verstappen starting his next hot lap. He's already fastest through the first sector.
Yeah, he will be fastest, of course. He's the first one to set a time, so he will be fastest throughout all the sectors. But can anybody beat them? Perez has got a couple of purple mini sectors up on Verstappen. I don't think he'll go around as quickly as him. But see those purple sectors for Perez being taken away by Leclerc, who seems to be going around a little bit quicker than those two Red Bulls. So let's see what he can do, as Max Verstappen is now, of course, setting all those purple sectors for Sector 2. Let's see what the Ferraris can do as they're following the two Red Bull drivers as well.
Yes, of course, and they're getting that further evolved track. Leclerc isn't able to match Verstappen in the first sector. He's 0.2 seconds down already as Max Verstappen sets the fastest middle sector. He does have a little bit of a twitch though as he comes through turn 11, approaching that long back straight.
Yeah, very, very long back straight it is. And now he heads into sector 3, and hopefully we'll see a 135, the mid 135s in this session. Of course, we're on medium tyres, so it is going to be a little bit slower than we saw in qualifying later. But of course, we will also have soft tyres in SQ3, which is the session after this. But we need to get there first. And who are the 5 drivers that are going to drop out in the session, guys? Let us know in the comments very quickly.
135.1 already put down by Max Verstappen. He's really pushing up that benchmark from the first session. He's found a lot more time in hand. And what can Charles Leclerc do now in retaliation to that?
Funny enough,
Carlos Sainz, though, pretty good through the first sector.
I was about to say, Norris is doing, Perez is doing quite well. Yeah, let's see what he finishes up with. 135.7. I don't think Max Verstappen's going to come back out again. I think he's going to go to the pits and chill.
That's safe for the race.
That's a very, very good lap time from Max Verstappen. Let's see what Leclerc can do now. He crosses the line. What does he do? He did very well in that third sector, and he does move ahead of Perez at 135.3, so not too far behind Max Verstappen, 0.2 seconds. But I think Max Verstappen might still be safe. I think they might back themselves to stay in the session, though it might be a bit too much risk, so maybe they will come out and just have a lap right at the end. As Piastri is also currently on his lap, not doing too badly. I see a purple mini sector in sector 2, but nothing else. So we're seeing more drivers finish up. Stroll finishes up at 136.1, not going to be good enough, I don't think. Sainz also 135.5, Zhou now 136.2, Norris and Piastri now crossing the line. Piastri first. Let's see how he does. He did quite well in sector 3. A couple of purple sectors there. Purple mini sectors, that is, for Norris.
Piastri finishes first. He goes up into 5th as Lando Norris is now coming through the final corner. He comes across the line. Where does he put himself? He's got a purple mini sector in the end sector. He crosses the line now and he goes up into 4th.
Yeah, so not too bad for the McLarens, but I think they will still need to find some time there. Max Verstappen's time is still pretty much 0.4 seconds quicker than most, except for the likes of Charles Leclerc. So I think he should be safe. Of course, we've not got a very long session now, just 4 minutes and 45 seconds remaining for Sprint Shootout 2. Would he come out again?
I think he's safe. I mean, I can imagine Charles Leclerc is going to get faster. Maybe he might want to try and keep up with being fastest in every single session this weekend to try and get a Grand Chelem again.
Yeah, but I mean, that doesn't give you any points. It's just like a nice little...
It's bragging rights, really.
I don't think they'll risk it. I think they'll surely put him into the pits and he'll just have a relax. Maybe he's going for a double push lap because he seems to be
still out there.
Going out there, Max Verstappen. He seems to be going again. I think he is going again.
Just waiting to see if he disappears or if he does come around the circuit again.
I think he's going around. He is on a double push lap. I think everybody's pretty much
slower though.
Fernando Alonso is still in the pits, of course, which is interesting. We've got lots of drivers still in the pits. Hamilton's still in the pits.
For that extra, evolution out on track. As Alex Albon, who hasn't set a lap time just yet, he is about to get out on circuit now.
So let's see what this strategy is going to do for all of them. As we have some drivers jostling for position already in the pit lane as the Aston Martins now make their way down. Just 4 minutes left, so they're going to have 1 lap to put themselves right near the top. Will it be good enough for these drivers having the risk of only doing 1 lap in this session as Alonso leads out that crew?
Verstappen's on a slow lap, so possibly he's doing a double warm down and then he's going to go again.
Do you think, I was about to say, do you think he's just going to wait? They're going to wait to see whether or not he needs to do another push, and if he doesn't, then they're just going to say, you know what, stay here, it's fine. You can come back into the pit. So it's an interesting strategy from Red Bull, but that means that they fueled him up quite well. Which means that time at 135.1 with quite a lot of fuel,
relatively high fuel, at least 5 laps worth.
That's quite a performance there from Red Bull then, and especially Max Verstappen. So hats off to him. Let's see if this strategy will work though for those 5 drivers. I think it's 6 drivers in fact that have decided to go for a 1 lap strategy here. Ricciardo has also not made his way out. I think he's going to be the last one out on track, as Gasly has also not made his way out onto the track. No, Gasly is now out. So let's see if Ricciardo will have 1 lap to try and push himself further up there. As we see a few smiles from Mick Schumacher in the Mercedes pit there. I don't quite know what they're laughing about. They was having a little bit of a laugh.
It's a Toto Wolff there. As we're waiting for Max Verstappen to come around the track one more time. Is he going to go on another push lap, or will he call it a day for the session?
I don't know. As Russell now starts his first hot lap of the session, where will he finish up? It's going to be very interesting to see.
25.7 is his first sector. Max Verstappen was a bit faster than that. He's bouncing around quite a lot, though, out on circuit.
And lots of corrections being made by Russell already, so that's not going to help his cause. Max Verstappen got a 25.5 in the first sector. Russell with a 25.7.
He's doing personal bests.
He is, yeah. So Max Verstappen's pushing again. He's doing one more lap in the session, so he just had another warm down lap.
George Russell 0.2 down on Verstappen in the first sector, waiting to see what he'll do through the middle sector. He's coming through there now. Coming down that back straight, where does he put himself? As he does now come through that middle sector, waiting for that time to come up at 38.6. Not up on Max Verstappen, but still not too bad right now. 2 minutes left of the session to go.
No, not too bad at all, though. So let's see if he can put something decent in here. Just checking a couple of things. Everything's working, it seems. So just making sure. We've got, as I say, in the last 1 minute and 20 seconds left in the session. What's going to happen here? We see more purple mini sectors here from Alonso. Interesting. I see a mini sector there from Alonso, so not too bad. A 25.7 is also quicker than Russell's time from Alonso. So Russell,
Max Verstappen's had a moment out on track.
Yes, and look at his tyres. My word, they are very, very beaten up. Those are going to need to come back.
He's taken a trip into the gravel. That could be a floor damage.
Yeah, so Verstappen not helping his cause there. Oh, that's track limits for Russell.
Yeah, that's track limits.
Russell's going to have his track times deleted. So this risk, he's going to have to start it again. I hope he realizes this. He needs to realize this. He needs to keep this DRS open and go the whole way. He can't stop. He does keep it open. He realizes. No, he doesn't.
He doesn't.
What on earth is he doing? He should have pushed for another lap. He's not going to be able to.
This moment from Max Verstappen, though, he comes through the middle sector on a flyer of a lap. Possibly just because these tyres are a little bit older. Comes through the top
Whoa,
of
my word. Has a full spin.
Yeah.
Full spin that goes into the grass a little bit.
As he comes through turn 8, he bounces off the apex in that direction change. And the car didn't like it on the throttle application. Didn't damage the floor by the look of it. But, yeah, it does take a bit of a spin over the curbs.
Yeah, so SQ2 now is over. So that is the end of SQ2. And let's see what these final drivers can do. Alonso crosses the line into 8th position. It's not brilliant for him. We're seeing a few drivers going to be beating him. Maybe Ocon moves into 9th. Stroll's currently in 10th. Zhou in 11th. But, yeah, Russell's going to be out of the session, I think, for track limits.
I think so too.
So if those are track limits for Russell, he's not going to be
That's going to be track limits for Ocon as well. He's gone over the white line.
So Ocon also being investigated now for track limits, possibly for his lap. Let's see if that will actually take place. We're guessing here. We're assuming it will be. It must surely be track limits. So we could see Russell all the way at the bottom there.
Yes, we're watching Gasly now coming across the line. He's put himself up into 7th. Good for himself. Hamilton only down in 9th though at the moment.
Yeah,
He's
not looking very safe there is Hamilton. But I think with a couple of these deleted lap times, we might see safety for a few. Russell's time still stands.
Set a time. So what can he do out
there?
Yeah,
he's going to be the last driver across the line. So let's see what Ricciardo can do. Will he be able to push himself further ahead than some of the others?
Ricciardo only goes into 11th, unfortunately.
But I think if Russell's time is deleted, he'll move back into the top 10.
Yes, that's true.
Stroll is out of the session, noting here. Zhou is out. Stroll is out. Ocon is out. Alonso is out. Currently, we're just seeing whether Ricciardo and Albon will be safe and whether Russell will be safe. His time still stands, but I'm sure we're going to have a look at that for track limits.
Might get that deleted, yeah.
Yeah, so we currently pretty much have all the big names with the exception of Alonso pretty much in the last shootout here, although we're still waiting on whether or not Russell's time will be deleted or whether it will stand. So there's the end of the shootout and nobody else is going to be able to finish their times, but the Aston Martins are out again.
Yes, Aston Martin's unfortunately out yet again, not getting into Q3, unfortunately. What will they be able to do, though, during the sprint race later on this evening? Just watching a replay from Lance Stroll coming down the back straight, bouncing quite a lot, not looking very comfortable. Does he lock up on the brake? Oh, massive lock up on the brakes for him into turn 12. That was certainly an issue on that car. Watch here, Mark.
Oh, my word. Massive lock up there, and that's not going to be seen very fondly by the engineers. It's not necessarily Lance Stroll's fault, but certainly something not brilliant with the car there as Aston Martin wait for Lance Stroll to make his way back there again, and he is out as well as Alonso, of course. So very disappointing. Russell's time is still standing there.
Still standing. I'm waiting for any word on that.
Very interesting because he definitely crossed the white lines completely. Yeah, I mean, surely track limits will be a thing for Russell, but we haven't seen a change yet. So at the moment, Ricciardo is out of the session, but if Russell's time is deleted, then we're going to see Ricciardo still in the session. So, I mean, I don't know. It's weird that Russell's still got his lap time staying. It's a very odd one. So just going back to the comments quickly, let's just go and see Max Verstappen binning it. That's impossible. We must do it in the race, says F1 23.
It's a tricky little circuit, this, unfortunately. So, yeah, it can cause mistakes from even the greatest.
I think Russell's time's going to stand.
Which will be upset.
Bizarre.
Which is very weird.
Very bizarre.
He went over track limits there.
Very, very bizarre there. But nonetheless, we can't change that. That's going to just remain the same. So we're going to head on into Shootout 3 very shortly. All the big teams are still in it. We've got McLaren, Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes, and Gasly, and Alex Albon there. Those are two outliers that are still in the top 10.
It's possible that Russell had a bank lap in that was fast enough to be able to hold on to that position, maybe.
That might well be the case. So just going to go in and end our poll there. Max Verstappen got 55% of the vote. Well, you were still correct. Second was Leclerc. Indeed, I think Leclerc was second. So you were still correct. And Sainz in third. So we're going to have those as our three options for Shootout 3 as we're going to get that poll going, and be sure to participate in it as it goes up.
Yes, getting close to 400 viewers on here. Do be sure to share our live stream with all of your friends and get them involved as well in our Formula 1 community. Do be sure to check out the link in the description as well for our Forever Motorsports Discord, where we can let you know all the latest news in Formula 1. Yeah, just getting ready now for this SQ3 session. Who do we think is going to take the top of that spot? Our options in the poll that Mark is currently putting up is Verstappen, Leclerc, I didn't see your third option there. Sainz, and then other, of course. Do be sure to let us know in the comment section. And as we have Pikachu watching from the grandstands there in Austin.
Yeah, very interesting there. Just watching a replay here of Yuki Tsunoda make a little bit of touch there. I think he's being interviewed about it. What's he saying, Reece, about that incident?
Just saying the session finished just before I could, unfortunately, restart a lap. Which was a bit of a miscommunication from him and the team, which is disappointing. But unfortunately, that was his day over, and he could get an even worse day, as he could get a grid penalty for that sprint race ahead of us later this afternoon.
Yep, so we could see a penalty there, as we are seeing now SQ3 just about to get going here. The time is about to start, and we'll try and mash that up as best we can. And yeah, again, guys, be sure to go and participate in that poll. And also let us know, who do you think will win the sprint? Regardless of what happens in the session, because, you know, if Max Verstappen does finish right near the top, you might think, well, it'll be him. But will Verstappen be able to have a clean lap here? Just one more time, though. We're now seeing soft tires. In the first two sessions, we saw medium tires. We're now going to have soft tires running here for all of the drivers that are still in the sprint shootout. So going to see much quicker times, hopefully, and it'll be different tires. So it'll be certainly something interesting to watch. Alex Albon, what can he do?
Yes, I think Albon can... I think he'll probably stay down in 10th. It's already pushing his car where he is now, as I think the session is about to get started in the next few seconds or so. Just waiting for that green light. No, I was wrong. Just waiting for these drivers to get back out on circle. Watching Pierre Gasly, what can he do? He's been able to get himself out. Has his teammate, though. Esteban Ocon, unfortunately, wasn't.
No, but we saw that the Alpines were quite good yesterday as well. So maybe we'll see something good from Pierre Gasly as well. You're 7th in that last session. Let's see if you can get further up in this session and maybe get himself quite some good points from the sprint as well. He's not been doing too terribly, Gasly, in the last few races for Alpine. Yeah, let's see what happens there. Also, Hamilton's not been brilliant in these couple of sectors here. I thought we'd expect more from Hamilton, but he's not really been challenging right near the top there in these sprint shootout sessions. So hopefully he'll be better in this session for many of the Hamilton fans. But I think we will get going very, very shortly with SQ3, and we'll then be able to tell you exactly who will start where in the grid for the sprint later today, which will be on Forever Motorsports. So be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Yes, F1 23 asking which side is pole position on the circuit. It is on the right-hand side, as the session does now go live, and we do get cars making their way down the pit lane. Andrew Crozier saying that the sprint race is just like practice 2 and 3 for the race, only that the qualifying has already happened on the Friday. It certainly is, as we're watching that camera helicopter sitting above the crowd As Percy says there, I just think it would be fun to see some variety, but ultimately I don't care who wins. I certainly hope for some variety as well in this session. Drivers have been keeping it quite clean though, no incidents. Mark is going to be hating me for saying that now because I'm possibly jinxing it for the session.
Well, Max Verstappen nearly caused an incident there, having a little bit of a spin. Managed to recorrect the car before it had anything untoward happen. Yuki Tsunoda brake checked Hamilton a little bit too hard. Hamilton might have got a little bit of damage on his front wing. It seemed not to have resulted in anything. But now Shootout 3 is starting, and the very interesting thing is nobody's going. And are people going to do a double push lap, do you reckon?
I think so, but I think people are certainly not wanting to be the first ones out on circuits right now.
Yeah, very, very interesting to see what will happen. I think just Percy summing up many Formula One fans' frustrations with regards to the season. I just think it would be fun for everyone to see some variety, but ultimately I don't care who wins. So yeah, Shootout 3, we're still waiting for drivers to get out.
Yes, waiting for the drivers to get out on track now, as Emma's saying Ricciardo got robbed. I'm still waiting for that time of Russell's to be deleted, to be very honest. I'm quite upset about that.
Yeah, I am confused about it because he definitely went over the white lines. It's very interesting. Still no movement from the pit lane.
It could be debated after the session, though.
Yeah, maybe.
By AlphaTauri.
Well, it's going to be a difficult one. But we're still seeing that we've still got all the cars in the pits. Nobody's making their way out. It's going to be very interesting to see what will happen, yeah? Again, guys, go and participate in that poll. Let us know. But Max Verstappen has been leading all the sessions so far, but will he be able to keep it within the track limits? I'm sure he will. He will not make a mistake twice. Of course, still waiting. Nobody's ready to take the tyre blankets off even. So
it's also been gusty here, Mark. So it could have possibly been from a wind issue, as we're seeing Jack doing. The Formula 2 and Alpine reserve driver waiting in that Alpine pit at the moment, waiting for all the drivers to get underway. Very interesting that no one has gotten out just yet.
I must say, it's a very, very short session regardless, and we've only got 5.5 minutes left of the session. It's enough time, basically, for one lap if you get out there.
Essentially, yes.
It's one lap, maybe a second lap if you can get right there, but I think people might get caught out if they try to go for a double push. But at the moment, it looks like everybody's basically going to go out for one single lap.
Yes, going to be really, really quite tight for people out there. As we see Carlos Sainz, what can he do? He's been a bit off the pace of his teammate here today and this weekend. Quite surprising for him because he's been relatively dominant over Charles Leclerc through the majority of this season.
Yeah, so Leclerc doing quite well. So can he actually maybe get ahead of Max Verstappen again, as we saw in qualifying yesterday? Of course, Max Verstappen did get ahead of Leclerc.
Down on Leclerc's time, on Verstappen's fastest time though in that second session. So we'll have to wait and see. Still waiting for drivers to get out in circuit. It is
nobody's ready yet.
No one's waiting. No one wants to be the first one to get out there.
It's a very, very interesting one. So maybe it's just because they don't want to have too much degradation on these tyres. Although we now do see engineers are ready to take blankets off in the Red Bull garage. So it might see a bit of movement now. Yeah, yes, there we go. Movement from Red Bull. And they release Verstappen. So Verstappen makes his way out and everybody's going to follow, I'm sure. As we do see now movement from all the garages. Look at all of those engineers making their way out, running out to go and say, get out there, get out there. Indeed, they do make their way down. So I think it's going to be enough time for basically one push lap.
Leonardo saying, watch Albon take the first Krona, I assume the first time, and then the red flag immediately screwing the other drivers. That would be hilarious. F1 23, everyone just chatting in the comments there. Let's be nice to each other, though. We don't want fights going on. But watching now, Oscar Piastri and the rest of the grid making their way out of the circuit, following suit after the Red Bulls managed to get out there. Yeah,
so I'm keen to see what the Ferraris can do. Now, Max Verstappen being the first driver out now, he has set the fastest time in each sector from the get-go and has not been beaten. But now on these soft tyres, do you think maybe an evolved track might make more of a difference? Maybe we'll see. I mean, I'm looking at Charles Leclerc's tyres. Are they fresh tyres? I think they are fresh softs.
Shiny.
So, going to be very, very interesting to see if Ferrari can compete with Max Verstappen's time. Everybody's basically going to have their eyes on Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen in terms of who will be P1 for the shootout later. For the sprint rather later. But Hamilton also there and thereabouts. He's been good all weekend, though these first two sessions, not brilliant. But maybe on the softs, they'll be a lot better, this Mercedes car. Again, softs for this session, we saw mediums in the previous two. So it'll be slightly different as the Ferraris are really waiting till the last moment to basically get out of the pits.
Yes, just watching people go around circuit now preparing for their first push lap. Max Verstappen coming through the final sector there. What can he do now as his tyres look a little bit more warmed up there? he's going to hope not to make that same mistake that he did earlier, because you are essentially only going to get one opportunity. You've got one shot.
Yeah, you've got one shot, one opportunity. As Max Verstappen starts the first hot lap of this session. Now, interesting, if you do make a mistake, they might well just decide to stop pushing, gather up again and go again, because they do have enough time to do that, but they do not have enough time to go around for one lap.
You want your driver to be first out on track, because you have the option to be first and get that second opportunity to push that. Max Verstappen does start that now. He has taken the fastest first sector already, a 47, or a 25.4 rather, sorry. Is that time, and he's going through the second sector now on these fresh, soft tyres. But Lando Norris behind Max Verstappen is going purple in every single
look at this. Norris is going to go quicker than Verstappen. He has gone quicker than Verstappen in the first sector by 0.06 seconds, basically, 0.07 seconds. So he's up on Verstappen's time, and he's putting in a few purple mini sectors in sector 2 as well. I'm not sure he's going as well around the sector 2, but watch Norris, ladies and gentlemen. He could put a spanner in the works here. Verstappen is getting a big challenge from Norris behind him again. All the drivers going on softs for the first time in this session might result in some different times here. Norris is still going around very, very quickly here.
Alex Albon is setting purple sectors in the first sector, Mark.
So, Verstappen's got a 38.1. What does Norris get in the sector 2? It's going to be very interesting to watch here as Norris finishes up.
38.2. He's down on Max Verstappen.
He's right there, though.
Really close, though, between their average times. Max Verstappen getting a little bit of a twitch as he comes through turn 12. Now coming through turn 14, then it's the quadruple apex as turn 16, 17, and 18 come through to you. Turn 15, tricky corner there. Looking well within track limits. What can he do now? He crosses the line with 134.5, the first 134 of the day. Where can Charles Leclerc and Oscar Piastri, as well as Lando Norris, put themselves down?
Lando Norris, unfortunately, has lost a little bit of time in sector 3, so he's going to go a little bit slower, only slightly slower than Verstappen. 0.1 seconds is the gap, but that's going to be pretty much their race over. They're not going to have enough time to get back around for another push lap. So Verstappen set the fastest time of 134.5. That's the time to beat. Piastri does a 134.8. I don't think that's going to be quick enough, though. Leclerc is somebody to watch. Could he go quicker than Max Verstappen? He's right on his time. He's got a purple mini sector in sector 3. This is the driver we want to watch. What can Leclerc do here in sector 3? He's coming around the second to last corner. Now, the last corner. What does the Ferrari driver do? He got pole yesterday in qualifying. Will he get pole today for the sprint shootout? He crosses the line now. Where does he move, Reece? Oh, my word.
Just second. A 134.593 compared to Max Verstappen's 134.538. Nothing splitting those two drivers at the moment.
No, and now also watching Carlos Sainz. He's very, very close to their times as well. I'm not sure he's got enough purple sectors, though, to challenge it. Sainz crosses the line. Where does he move himself? Only into 5th. Not brilliant from Carlos Sainz. Alex Albon's in 6th right now. Gasly in 7th. We've got 3 drivers to cross the line. What can the Mercedes do, Reece?
The Mercedes were certainly looking quite fast yesterday on these soft tyres. What can Hamilton do? He's been relatively consistent throughout every sector. He comes across the line. Now, where does he put himself? He goes up into 3rd. Brilliant lap time for Lewis Hamilton for the sprint race. Now watching on George Russell. Where can he put himself? The last driver to finish his lap out on circuit. He comes around that final corner. He crosses the line now, and he goes up into 8th. Not good enough for George Russell, unfortunately. No. Interesting session, though, that. Really, really close between that top 5.
Yep, so just going through the top 10 one more time. Verstappen will start our sprint shootout at the front of the grid. Leclerc in 2nd, only just. Hamilton in 3rd. Norris 4th. Piastri 5th. Better from the McLarens than yesterday's qualifying session. Sainz in 6th, Perez in 7th, Russell down in 8th, Albon up in 9th, and Gasly in 10th.
Yes, bit disappointing to not have that second Ferrari fighting it out there, but incredible to have 3 different constructors within the top 3. Lando Norris's time has gone blank there a little bit, gone black. So I don't know if maybe they're reviewing that for track limits or something.
I doubt it. I think he should be. No, it's just because he got back into the pits. Then obviously they're not on track anymore.
Yes.
So yes, that is the end of our F1 Sprint Shootout, ladies and gentlemen. So let's just quickly review that right now. Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Motorsports. You're joined by myself, Mark and Reece, of course. Actually, we're going to start that again apparently because we had some interesting music playing for some reason. We're going to start that one more time, shall we? One more time. Attempt 2. Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Motorsports here on our own channel, I suppose. You're joined by Mark and Reece, of course. We've just finished F1 Sprint Shootout here in Austin, Texas for the US Grand Prix, the Circuit of the Americas, and Max Verstappen will start on pole for the sprint shootout that's going to be happening later on. Leclerc is up in second. Hamilton is in third. Reece, what was that session like?
Yes, was certainly quite a tight session between all of those drivers. Max Verstappen, though, once again dominant out there, but not necessarily running away with it, as Charles Leclerc was only 0.055 seconds down on Max Verstappen's pole time for the sprint later on this afternoon. Carrying on down, though, our grid for the start of the sprint later on, we have Charles Leclerc, of course, starting from second, the third constructor in the top three, Lewis Hamilton, having a great lap there right at the end, putting himself up there into third. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri start from fourth and fifth. Brilliant from them to put themselves up into that position. Off of yesterday, where they didn't necessarily have that much pace. Carlos Sainz a little bit off the pace of his teammate. He gets himself into P6. Sergio Perez once again really far off the pace, down in P7. Then George Russell 8th, Alex Albon having another great day in P9, better than his qualifying session yesterday. Then Gasly, the only Alpine in the top 10.
Indeed, then we go through our bottom 10 here. Ricciardo in 11th, Alonso 12th. A little bit better than yesterday, but still not brilliant for the Aston Martins. Ocon in 13th, Stroll in 14th, Zhou up in 15th. Then the two Haases, Hülkenberg and Magnussen in 16th, 17th, Bottas in 18th, Tsunoda down in 19th, being quite significantly outperformed by his teammate Ricciardo, and Sargent again in 20th, just like it was yesterday in qualifying. So not brilliant for them. So yeah, just going and noting the fact that, of course, we've got to look forward to the sprint shootout later. Based off of these results here, what do you think is going to happen in the sprint shootout?
Well, I think the sprint shootout is going to be quite exciting later. I think we're going to have a lot of drivers fighting for that win there. I think Max Verstappen doesn't necessarily have that given to him, because I think the Ferraris are going to be quite quick here. They don't necessarily have to worry about their tyre degradation, because it is, of course, only a single session, and it's not a very long session. You don't have to do any pit stops. So at least then we shouldn't have to worry about the Ferraris struggling with their tyre degradation today during the sprint.
That's exactly that. So Max Verstappen's going to have to deal with Charles Leclerc right alongside him. If Ferrari can get a good start and maybe try to take Verstappen out of the race in terms of Sainz and Leclerc getting ahead of him, although, of course, Hamilton's up there in third, maybe they're going to have to try and work together to try and prevent the Red Bull from winning. But Max Verstappen pretty much should take the win here, because Max Verstappen, starting on pole, very, very rarely in his entire career, not just this season, very rarely loses it from that position. So should be fine for him.
Yes, exactly. I agree with you. And do be sure to join us for that sprint race later on this evening. We're going to kick you all across into our build up for that now. So do be sure to go and check all of that out.
But quickly, just before we get there, of course, let's just have a very quick prediction here. Who's your top three?
I'm going to say Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, Lando Norris.
So Charles Leclerc's dropping out big time here.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to go completely different, just for the sake of trying to get some variety. For all that I said, Max Verstappen should be backed to win it, just for the sake of variety and seeing something interesting happen. Let's have Charles Leclerc finish first, Max Verstappen second, and Hamilton there in third. That's my predictions. Let us know in the comment section, of course, what your predictions are. And be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. And guys, we'll see you for the next one. Thank you so much for watching. We'll get to going to the sprint shootout later on.